Welcome back, everyone, to Chapter 5, The Voidcaller. The last we saw of our companions, the company of Ukian of Tunilith, they had just recently left their companions, their ancestors in the grove. Now it will be close on to about a month ago. You've been housed within the palisade wall of the village of Hawthorne, which we've come to find out is actually a mixed community of mortal Nemersian men and women who live just close enough to the woodland kingdoms to have some Fey cultural bleed over, as well as knowledge and some mingling, as you find that there's a few individuals in this community who have a dash of Fey in their bloodlines. And we find Ukian stride his steed and riding next to Huraka, a companion that they'd recently picked up, previously known as Tzek, but now sworn his fealty and his vassalhood to the saint of music, Aidnost Felsong, the ancestor that had recently come back from the grove and his seemed almost eternal sleep. He may or may not be somewhat of an Arthurian kind of figure to our Fey companions here, but on this day, it's kind of a cool autumn. It just stopped raining just a few minutes ago, so there's a moist, kind of a peaty, wet grass and mud scent on the air as you guys ride into Hawthorne from this is the evening of the third day since you've been here. Ukian, would you describe your character for us, please?
Wearing a heavy cloak of satin colors, wool and cotton with some furs, a primitive, far less than the opulent robes of his unseelie garments, other unseelie garments. We see Ukian of Tuneo with a servant of autumn, a somber character with pale, slightly with a golden hue skin, and the antler horns that are typical of the Dawn Fairfolk, as well as a mane of a dirty charcoal black hair, which is tied back into a low ponytail at the back. As he is traversing through the countryside of Hawthorne, he's leaning on his staff, a polearm, in fact. Its head, its proud, vicious, bladed head has been covered with a fabric to protect the metal, and it weighs heavily as he travels with it. The burden of Shihan and that memory still clinging to him, but the pain has dulled, but now has been replaced by this fervent, passionate angst and need to find our quarry, this undying sorcerer whose blight upon the world needs to be expunged. And we have not been successful as of yet of finding a lead. And as we traverse through this land, searching, I'll turn and look over at Haruka.
Huraka is maybe about a century and a half, maybe two and change, younger than Ukion, but he's got his strawberry blonde hair actually pulled back into a neat queue. He has a pair of bronze daggers, kind of in a brace in the small of his back. He has a slender, kind of a sweeping, kind of it's a broadsword actually, a fey iron broadsword after a strange fey pattern, almost in the shape of a crescent moon. how how drastic that crescent is. Um, Almost looks similar to a shodel in a way. Um, he is he has the countenance of a vagabond about him, but when he walks, he has a bit of back alley in in his movements. He clearly is a someone who is not unaccustomed to life on the streets or life as a country brigand. Though many of the rumors about his previous life, when he used to go by the name of Tizek, he was an assassin. He was a poison crafter. He was many unpleasant things not well to dwell upon. And he kind of moves his eyes. He looks over to Ukion and says, "Well, this Talara here, she's actually quite elusive. Your eyes are just as keen as mine." And he says that with a not, it's not a jab, but it's kind of but it's not a backhanded compliment either. He's comparing yourself to him, but there's something kind of like, I don't know about you still, in that smirk. Your eyes are just as keen as mine. I find it that she may be hard pressed to evade us, so, and it's only been 3 days.
I sniff at that slightly. Well, it seems that this one doesn't wish to be seen or found. Perhaps it has something to do with the burning, the execution back at Hawthorne.
Yeah,
Hmm.
these people don't like their witches, but for whatever reason, people know of her here. But she's an except. How are witches? What makes a witch acceptable and what makes them not? Oh, we don't like those kind of witches. Well, yet we let Salmonak, a master of the 7th tier now of his nature magics, he's clearly a witch, but they're seemingly perfectly fine with him. Oh, but he's associated with the silent monolith, and the agriculture god feeds us. He sneers at that and kind of gives you the smirk, like, all right.
I nod, I chuckle and nod. You have your answer, my friend. That's precisely the answer. He is associated with the silent monolith, and only a fool would wage a pogrom against their kind. They're far too entrenched into the balance of the way of life. Best respect that which it broods, for
Of
rightful
course.
reasons. But on this, this Tulara, I'm beginning to suspect there might be some sort of enchantment, perhaps, that has fallen over people. Perhaps this is even a rumor, or but some sort of trick, some sort of fey trick.
Perhaps
I know
she is
not.
more than half Fey in her, interestingly enough.
I've never seen a half nymph. Have you?
I've only heard of them. I've never met one personally.
Hmm.
Well, I will tell you that when you do find one and one wishes to mate with you, you lucky rascal, you.
Try to keep your mind on our task, our hunt,
Of
Haruka.
course. But as you ride through, kind of like cantering through this flagstone not causeway, it's this main thoroughfare of Hawthorne, you pass a small temple, not to the silent monolith. You're actually very intimate with that kind of an open garden henge. There's no roof in that religion. This this temple that you pass has a bit of an eeriness to it. Ukian, you don't need to roll for anything here. You know it as instinctually as you know your own horns. A temple dedicated to the god Kendrick, the deity of fear. There's a number of priests outside mingling about with some of the locals. They're either half wearing masks on the sides of their faces. Their masks hang from their belts, or some of them are not at all. The most ranking priest, he's not a high priest of any means, but at least the one that's highest locally. You've come to know him as Kulmarg. He himself is actually a half nymph. He You were able to speak with him at least in passing at one of the local gathering places where the locals have their mead and their locally brewed beer and um, gather for rituals and to break their fast. Some rumors have abounded, goblins of the Suncrest Mountains nearby, that you do remember that our late Shihan actually spoke of. Goblins are massing in the copper mines there for whatever reason. Another rumor, possibly nearby, is trolls are raiding outlying camps, as well as some of the food stores. One particular farm had their granary knocked over, which, as you know, coming from a pretty agrarian culture yourself, having a granary destroyed is unnecessary work that needs to be done. Puts a tax on the entire community. You possibly let out an audible
Waste
groan
of a
at that.
harvest. Yeah. Mm.
And there's a ruin, a more ancient ruin, known as the Autumn's Grasp, and rumor has that spiders are gathering in this ruin for some whatever reason. As you go by the scene, well, seeing Kumarg is tending to his flock of fearmongers. You have these rumors flood back to you. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Interesting. Interesting. Still, we don't have any word of any sort of any movements of primordials or red devil people through the land, Haruka. But it seems as though this autumn's grasp, this ruin, that sounds interesting to me. I'm not sure. Shihan had mentioned something of those mines and those mountains where now goblins are raiding. We did see goblins with the band of primordials. That may be our best option, our best lead. We still have some days before Salmanak is ready with his cleansing. We're running short on time, I feel it.
We will need to give Salmanak his time. If we rush it, this ritual may harm him.
Absolutely, we cannot have that. He has 6 days left, is that correct? I believe today is the 4th day or the 3rd.
This is the evening of the 3rd day.
Right.
Tomorrow
So
will be the start of the 4th. 6 days on from there.
right.
You enter the main marketplace, which is not an enormous affair, but at least for this time period of the world and this portion of the world, they actually have a pretty all right turnout. maybe it's like some 400 people in this marketplace. Uh, a mix of races, fair folk, humans, a few bearded folk, of course, your various half castes, and a handful of ogres here indeed. Uh, has Ukion actually had much dealings with the big folk? Any of the big folk?
Not unless they were in that war camp uh, many cycles ago, I suppose, at this stage. Um, when we had met Shihan and the High King Ornkath in his battle on the field against the Atlantean armies. If there were ogres there, then he would have seen a few, perhaps.
Okay, then yeah, then yes, actually, you've probably dealt with several ogres in passing. Um, there's one near to you, uh, being about his business of cloth, needles, and textiles work with one of these younger gals here. Um, Halthair, son of Blogvir, would you describe your character for us and possibly the cute young thing that you're trying to sell your fabrics to?
So Halfir stands there, in his mind, at the paltry height of just shy of 9 feet tall. He is the smallest of his family, and he's a bit conscious of that. But of course, around here, the locals are very kind, and especially the little ones. They tend to remark upon how tall he is. He knows they're just being nice. The flesh of his face is the color of it's the color of soil that has been turned and has been dried in the midsummer sun just before the the fall, or the sheet well sorry the spring planting season, just before the sprouts were to come up from plants and such on a farm. The clothing he's wearing is it's dyed in shades of green with bits of almost gold woven through it. The dye is very cunning to almost appear as metal with the right lighting, but is truly just a cloth, just a dye. And this cloth is the pattern is very intricate. And as he's his on his chest, you may occasionally catch an image of something that is embroidered there, but it's hard to tell. It's obscured by his long beard, which is much darker than his face, and has several different intricate weaves in it. Almost, but not quite in the bearded folk fashion. But if you've seen bearded folk, it's reminiscent of that, almost as if it's an attempt at it that is more of an homage than an actual expert in doing so. His eyes are brilliant. It's hard to say if they're a blue or a very, very dark, almost black color, but depends on how the light hits them as far as that goes. But he has a very open face, very broad smile, and he's holding out some cloth that is dyed in this beautiful yellow that catches the sunlight just perfectly as he holds it out to this young lady. And he though his voice is very deep, the tones come out almost as soothing as he says, "Here, feel the weave of this. Feel how it flows across the skin. It's like it's as if one is running one's fingers through honey itself. Can you imagine making a dress of this, or even better, a shirt, something that you would be able to slide on over you on a warm summer's day and play and frolic out as you go out about your business? It would be as if every day was a merry dance with cloth like this."
She was actually quite quite interested in the cloth, and was actually able to buy a substantial portion of it from you. But it's your mention of summer kind of darkens her face, and she kind of looks a little sorrowfully at the offer there, but she kind of just recoils from it, saying that I don't know if we're ever going to see summer again if
It-
things are the way they are and the world is changed. Our Fey portions of the company will actually possibly pause here. Haraka just like holds up his hand and he says, "That ogre there."
As you hear him say in a very solicitous tone to the lady, "Yes, yes, I know. It has been quite some time since we have been graced with the kiss of the summer sun." But he runs his fingers across this. Though it brings us sorrow, does not also bring us joy to see its likeness.
She tries to take your words for comfort, but she doesn't say anything. She looks up into your broad face, but then she just shakes her head and she says, "That's I thank you, but I'm perhaps another time."
His shoulders slump visibly; they almost fall a foot. It seems like, and he says, "As you wish, my lady. But if you change your mind," he rolls it up and places it back on. He has a stack of about 6 of these different colors of bolts of cloth on a laid on a blanket there next to him. He says, "You know where I'll be." And he
I sort of shift uncomfortably on the saddle, shifting my shoulders uncomfortably. I'll
Hey,
call
Jono,
out
you're a
to
bit
Haraka.
distant.
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
You're a bit
Between
soft. I
turns.
don't
Hello,
know
can
where
you
you
hear me?
are.
there.
Okay, how about this?
That's
Much
better.
better.
How about now? Is
Much
that better?
Continue.
much
Yes,
better,
yes,
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 Okay,
much
yep.
better.
No worries. Thank you. Yes, I'll sort of shift in the saddle uncomfortably, kind of like just rolling my shoulders. As I'll call out to Haruka, Haraka, Haraka. Just a moment. I need to speak with this one.
He
And I
just
take off.
nods, and he
I jump
actually
off the saddle.
loosens his crescent sword and his in the scabbard. You hear that audible click, and he just kind of like leans forward on kind of like the saddle horn there, and just nods. And he's got your back. Clearly, his body language says he's going to back you up if he gets crazy. But he goes, I think he's more gentle than what his frame begets him.
I look up to him and just give him a little bit of a smirk and a smile, and then I just turn and stroll towards the colorful giant. As I approach, and as I'm approaching this haberdasher, this tailor, this seams, this weaver, I am unbinding this cloak that I'm wearing around myself. It's quite a simple sort of browns and much in the similar style as many travelers' cloaks that can be found and made locally in the nearby surrounding lands and villages. As I then uncloak myself and then revealing like this bright orange wooden breastplate of some sort of soldier with autumn inscriptions and engravings on the wood. Looks quite colorful, quite bright, quite vibrant. As I take off this brown cloak and hold it, as when I catch your eye.
I will say here though, in regards to Halthier, just for player knowledge here, Halthier is not a warrior at all, is he?
He is trained in the arts of warfare by his father, but it's not his way.
Okay.
He doesn't swing first.
Okay.
That is reserved for things that attack him.
That's actually excellent knowledge. Thank you.
So,
When you turn around, you have
Mhm.
it's quite literally a warrior mystic of the season of autumn, and whatever lackey that he has. These guys look fucking scary. They look like brigands. You have dealt with brigands on the road. I will say your homestead has probably been attacked by highwaymen once in your youth. You may do with that knowledge however you wish.
Well, one quick question for you here from the narrator.
Cool.
How common are the Don Fair folk in this village? Is there a community, or are they just an occasional visitor?
They are not, they're not uncommon. Very few actually live here, maybe a dozen. Hawthorne's got a population, I think I said last session about it's less than 1,000. Maybe like 500 to 800 individuals. That's men, women, and children. And maybe a few dozen of them are actually Don Fair folks. So less than 30, we'll say.
So he
does
turns
that help?
and yes, it does. He turns and looks at these two, and he sees a pair of fair folk, and he sort of looks them up and down. And you may see in his face, Ukian, at first it's a bit of apprehension. And you do see there is at his feet next to where this bolt of cloth is, looks like it's possibly a log laying there. It's hard to say exactly. Maybe it's there to sit on, but you see just for a moment as if he's going to reach down for it, then his four-fingered hand comes back, 3 fingers and thumb hand sort of comes back, and it almost goes to this little dance of the fingers as if he's counting things on his fingers. And then he smiles and he says, travelers, you must have come a long way to Hawthorne. How are the roads about?
The roads are fine, and I expect you may know them as well, for it seems that you have the look of a traveler yourself, perhaps part of a caravan.
He puts his hand on his chest and says, "Oh, just a humble merchant. Normally, I wouldn't be coming to Hawthorne this time of year. My mother, she is the master of the weave who has woven these cloths. Well, she didn't have a full supply for me to bring this time, so I just brought these few things. I just seem to need to be here."
Well, most excellent. You seem to be well knowledgeable in your trade. I overheard your conversation with that girl just now, and I'm impressed by your knowledge of things. And perhaps you may be of assistance to me. If I may trouble you for some. Yes, this cloak of mine, which I have recently come to purchase in a time was short when I had need of such a thing. It seems it hasn't been appropriately tailored to my extra adornments, and I motion and nod towards the plate, the wooden plate. It feels very stiff, and I would perhaps would like to make use of your master seamstress, I believe you mentioned, of her talents, to have this altered and fitted for my person.
Well, he leans forward down towards you, reaching his hand out, and he's very gingerly with 2 fingers takes the cloak and lifts it off your arm and then holds it out.
And that gets a jump from Haraka. That's
and seeing him do this, it's almost.
I definitely am respectful of your personal space,
belt, but he doesn't move.
I definitely am respectful of your personal space, your large size. So I reach it out, but I don't get close very purposefully. But
he very gingerly takes it in 2 of his fingers, and he holds it up. And you may notice as you get close to the fingers themselves have thick calluses on them, but in very odd places. These aren't the hands of someone who is used to swinging a sword very often, but just the tips of the index finger and maybe the one in the middle seem to have this odd buildup of callus. And he takes this your cloak and holds it out, and it's almost like watching an adult holding a child's cloak up. And he looks at it and says, yes. He looks at you and he says, yes, I could add some material to this. He takes it and throws it over one finger, which is almost like having it over your forearm, reaches down and picks up a bolt of cloth. It's about 4 feet long. He says, this rust red would go well with this, and I think it would look well with your armor as well. You like autumn colors, yes?
I kind of look over at Haraka with a sort of impressed glance, and I turn back
Rust
to
would
this
look
great
good
one.
on you, Ukyan. He actually relaxes, kind of like leans back in the saddle and just kind of like pats the sword back into its scabbard. He actually brings the horses up within a respectful distance, actually, and goes,
I was
"What's your
thinking
name,
that myself.
Ogre?" He actually
Oh,
what
reaches
is your
out
name?
with his hand, which
Oh, I apologize. I should have introduced myself immediately. My name is Haltier. It sort of comes out almost
Haltier.
like there's a hidden H in there, the way he says it. The accent's a bit odd for the for Feywise because the name is Ogrish, but you have a feeling that it would translate as Halthier into Feywise. He says,
you have much dealings with the Fae?
I have had a few.
Oh,
My father more than me.
who is your father?
He was a great hero from back in the it would have been 150, almost 160 cycles ago, maybe longer, maybe 200 cycles ago. He was known in these parts. His name was Blogveer.
That
I stop and turn and look at Haruka.
he just looks back at Ukyan wide-eyed, like, "You're Blogveer's little
Blogveer.
boy?"
He saying when he says little boy, his shoulders sort of slump, and he says, "Yes,
Oh,
I am his smallest. It is my shame. Though
I
they say I may grow a bit more."
Blogveer only had one son. I thought he
Yeah.
had many daughters.
Yes, he
How
has three
old are you?
daughters.
Who
They're all larger than me.
are you?
They're all respectable sizes for
He leans like real far out of the saddle, and he's like to conspiratorially like whisper in the saddle. You don't have to bend down too much. He goes, "Are you the youngest?"
Yes.
Well, that's why.
Still,
Your father is quite famous. Did you know that?
Oh
Yes, I
yeah,
do.
no, the
His myths and
Arborians call him
tales and his-
Bloodletter, of course.
yes,
His
I've heard it,
exploits
yes.
are quite well renowned.
Yes,
And so you are the son of Blogvi, truly, and a
yes,
merchant
I
on this caravan selling textiles.
yes.
Hmm.
If you know the story of Blogveer, you know the reason why he was out being a great hero and such. He was looking for my mother. She is the weaver who made all of these cloths, and I have been trained under her tutelage to make garments of exquisite exquisite stylings. And he sort of smooths out his tunic, that very elaborately woven one. He says the weaving is her work, the stitching is mine.
Now, Ukyan, if you were able to get
Stitching's
a
yours.
cloak made of that such that rust red there, you'd likely be having something off of Kaya's loom. Yes,
directly from
buy
her
that.
loom.
I will retire us to the what's it, the green rune in that's what it's called here. Ukyan, is it the green, which the green rune?
I believe it's the green roof.
Roof? The
Oh
green
yes,
roof.
the green roof. The yes, the that's the boarding house, is it?
It's what these humans call an inn, but
Yes.
we
Yes, unfortunately, they don't have a bed big enough for me there.
That is where we are currently staying. Perhaps.
Well, I
how
will
long do you
retire
think it
there,
will
and
take-
I shall leave you two to it then. I guess he shoots Ukyan a sly wink.
Very good.
Don't spend all of your coinage here.
Yeah, Halther
See you.
grins.
I see you again, Haraka.
Yeah.
I see you
Right,
this
yeah.
evening.
Halther grins, exposing his big blunt teeth, and he says, yes, my friend. They also have some of the best ale in town as well. Don't drink it all.
I'll leave you some.
Thank you." And he turns his big eyes back towards Ukyan and says, "Now back to you. I'll need to get some measurements."
Of course.
And,
Apologies, I've not even introduced myself. My name is Ukyan. Of Teneo,
Ukyan.
Servant of Autumn.
Oh, well, it is a pleasure to meet you, Ukyan. You know, and
You as
he
well.
sits, he sort of sits down At this point, he's almost face to face with you at this height. It's almost as if he's doing it
I
to
seem
make
I
you
seem
feel more
slightly
comfortable.
more comfortable. Yeah, as you kind of
Okay.
lower down a bit and no longer loom over me at
Okay.
9 feet tall. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm like 5 foot something.
Yeah. She's almost twice your
as
height, just
yeah.
almost. But
So
he reaches into this
yeah.
big pouch at his hip, which looks regular sized on him, and he pulls out a cord that has a series of different kinds of knots on it. And he says, "Come closer. I promise you, I won't bite, nor will I crush you under rocks. We do not grind bones for our bread, though I've heard tale of such." He says, "Let
So
me
have
get the
I.
measure of you."
So have
Okay.
I, but I do not suppose that you would be part of a caravan if you were a wild beast.
Oh no, never, not at all. Very, very civilized we ogre are.
I
And
kind of
he,
squint my eyes for a moment. There's like a pause where I'm just judging your words, seeing if this isn't some sort of trap for a second. But then I relinquish and I step forward.
But very deftly and gently, he sort of moves you around and measures across your shoulders. He gets the measurement from your shoulder down to your ankle.
And it seems like you obviously know what you're doing. Is that definitely the
yes.
case? Yeah.
Yes. If you've ever had someone actually measure you for a fitting, he's doing it, and he's into ones that you've probably seen before. So he seems to know what he's doing, and he has a board that he has attached to his belt into the side, which he pulls up and pulls a bit of charcoal out and begins making these inscriptions on the board as he's doing so. And he says, "So, what brings you to Hawthorne?"
We're on a hunt, as it were, or a searching for this well-known but enigmatic oracle who goes by the name of, I believe her name was Tulara, a half nymph that lives somewhere in this region. We have been trying to find and seek the counsel of this wise sorceress, but we haven't been unable to find her. Perhaps perchance you may have heard something.
Oh, the names all. I do apologize, but the Feywise names tend to blend together for me. But you say she's a half nymph.
That is what I'm led to believe.
Huh.
The same as if you have met, I've been here quite long, there is another by the name of Kumag, who is a priest of the Silent Monolith, and I gesture with my head towards that large temple.
Oh, yes.
He's also of the same blood, if I'm to understand correctly.
Father told me he met a nymph once. She was being as he's doing these measurements, he's starting to mark stuff on this bit of rust cloth as well. He says, I believe he said that she was being held by some, well, I don't know if it's true or not, but some being that was he said that they had the skin, well, almost the color of this rust here, but more of a red color. He said it's the color of a do you have and he says a word that sound, do you speak Ogrish by chance?
I do not.
Okay. He says some word that sounds almost like tumbling rocks falling into a stream. He says, it's a berry. Well, this is going to sound very strange, and tell me if I'm saying it incorrectly. The berries of straws.
The berries of straws.
Yes.
They're bright.
They're this.
I don't know what you mean.
They're a bright color. That's the almost the color of mortal blood, but brighter.
Of crimson, something
yes,
like that.
But brighter. Yes. But he said this being's flesh was that color, and they had this wonderful nymph captured, and he and his companion Shihan, they were unable to save her that night. And he says one of the greatest regrets he'd ever had in his entire life was not going back and freeing that poor thing.
You catch my face sort of flinch when you say that name, as my eyes go downcast and I seem to lose
yes,
not hear what you mean, or even like no longer pay attention as I then look away for a moment. and look back at you.
And as you look
Hmm.
back, he says, "Oh yes, you said Talara. Yes, she's an oracle. Yes, I think I have heard of her. Yes,
Yes. Did you spoke of one just now, name of
Yes.
Shihan?
yes,
Did
Uncle
you know this
Shihan. That's
one?
what I always called him as a child.
Uncle Shihan.
Well, yes, he visited our farm a few times. Well, not he was, as my father said, a free soul. He always seemed a bit well. It's he was that wonderful person that you may have in your life, but you like watching them from a distance, like you would like watching a far distant thunderhead rolling across the plains. It's a beautiful thing to see, but you have a feeling just under the surface there's this rumbling thunder. But yes, he used to come and visit us from time to time as I was a child. I actually sat and listened to him and father spin their tales many a night by the fire.
I see.
So,
You call him uncle. He is like family to you then.
yes, my father considered him a brother. Well, considers him a brother,
Yes.
I would say. I would assume. Father is still
Yes,
alive
yes.
after all.
Yes,
We haven't
And
seen
so do you
Shihan in
know-
quite some time.
I know him.
Hmm.
I've been meaning
Oh.
to. Yes, I've been meaning to perhaps find others who may know him as well.
Well, you've come to the right place. Although I tell you, I haven't. It's been at least 40 cycles since I've seen him.
You see me shift uncomfortably now. The mood has changed dramatically as
Okay.
Ukian looks at you with just a glisten of a glistening in his eyes.
Actually, just a moment. You say you're looking for someone who actually may know him. Yes?
Well,
He yells out, Friggath, Friggath, are you still here?
wait. It is Halthia. Halthia, is that's your name, right? Correct.
Yes. Close enough.
I fear it is my responsibility to burden you with ill news, my friend.
Oh?
I have known Shihan the Red Blade. We had traveled.
Yes.
We are on a hunt for a sorcerer. This one whom you mentioned.
Sorcerer.
Of red flesh.
At that point, he gets a very serious look in his eye. The happiness that he's been exuding gets very suppressed. And he looks and he says, sorcerer, you say?
Yes. My friend, I must give you the news.
Can I put in here for a moment?
Yep.
Where are you guys?
In the market
Probably
square.
in the middle of the market.
Okay. Not gonna say a thing.
His little area where he had his little area laid out for the cloth and such, I would assume. So yeah, Healthier is still at work. So okay. So
I must tell you news, my friend. I consider you a friend as I consider Shihan a friend, and a friend of a friend is mine as well. Shihan has fallen. He fell to the sorcerer we hunt.
It's at that moment you realize that there has been this noise you've been hearing. Almost like a distant breeze blowing through the trees occasionally, because it goes away as Halthier literally stops breathing for a moment. And he looks at you, and the eyes
takes me
go
a while before I can look at you in the eyes, but then I look up in your eyes with
those
sort
eyes are
of tears
cold.
and
He looks at you and says,
sorrow.
"Are you jesting with me?" And the look on his face is not happy.
I simply shake my head.
Let me get reduce the real quick. I need to do a premonition check.
By all means.
Let's see. That's a 13 total.
What are you trying to sense?
Seeing if he's lying to me or if he's trying to play me.
No, not with that roll. He's dead serious with you. Maybe uncomfortably serious.
Halthier actually rocks back
He might have been present.
and he
At the
throws
ordeal.
one arm back to hold himself up. The hand falls on this log that's sort of like the border there of one side of his little stall area, if you will. And he says, and it's the oddest thing to hear from a creature that large, but it's almost a whimper to the voice. And he says, "Please tell me you're jesting."
I'm sorry.
Was it a little over a chain ago? Maybe a few chains ago?
About
It
then, yes.
was 41 days ago this morning.
That would have been 4 chains, give or take.
Yeah, a month.
Yeah. So
About a month ago.
he puts his hand his hand over his face, and he sort of looks up and he says, "My father woke in the middle of the night. He bellowed something. At first I didn't understand what he was saying. Before it was a Feywise, but it's one Feywise I was not allowed to speak. Him and Shihan occasionally would speak in that tongue. He said it was the tongue of the unsealing court, and he bellowed a word. I've learned a few of the words, mostly the ones my mother would not repeat, mostly from Shihan. But this one I didn't know. And I went to my father's side, and my mother awoke, and she grabbed him as he sat bolt upright. He is advanced age now, and to walk he needs his cane. But he was going for the sword over the mantle we have, as if he was going to battle. And I crossed the room and grabbed him and realized that as I looked at his face, he was not there. He was somewhere else. And I shook him and I said, "Father, what is it?" He looked at me and he says, "I have to get there." And he looked me in the face and he told me what you just told me. But me and mother, we sailed him back into his bed. There have been times recently where he has burst out and with these dreams of things, something about when you first said sorcerer, he's awoken muttering something about a sorcerer. Of course he was speaking of, it's impossible Indukaga fell, when
Hush,
he and my
friends,
father
do not
were.
speak that word, please. Do not speak
but
that
he is-
name.
Just to reiterate, you
Yeah.
guys are still in public,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're still staying there in
Yeah.
public. There's no reason for Halthier not to be out of public at the moment.
Okay. All right.
As far as he's
Continue.
concerned, he's just talking to a customer. And he says, but he would were you there?
I look around and it's sort of the busy marketplace. I look back at you. Yes, I was there.
Well, then
I was traveling with him for many, many many months
You see
hunting for this sorcerer.
you see a look in his in this fellow's eyes as he's looking around all the people around and such. My friend, I have no stomach for commerce at this moment. He begins rolling things up, stowing things in his pouch. He even shoves your cloak into his pouch. He says, I will finish this. That you have my word. Just not at the moment. He gathers these cloths, the bolts together in this rug, rolls it up.
Do not rush yourself. I'm still going to be here for many days. I understand.
Stands up.
Some time to mourn and to
throws this. There's a rope that runs through it. He throws it over his shoulder, then reaches down and picks this log up and leans on it. And that's when you realize this is a big bronze-studded club. It's taller than he is, by maybe a foot. And he says, your friend, the green roof, he said, yes. I feel very thirsty now. I think I need some ale. Would you come with me there? I might not be able to sleep in their beds, but I can at least sit in a corner of their common room and drink a pitcher or three.
It's the least I could do. At least I could do for the kin and those loved by Shihan and those who love Shihan. Least I could do, my new friend Haltir. Come, let us go.
Okay. And Haltir knows exactly where he's going, but he'll let this fellow lead him. So, and then of course, double up to go inside.
Lead the horse through the marketplace with this great lumbering behemoth and his stall packed on his back. Perhaps he just collapses.
Yes.
As we make our way through the thoroughfare to the Green Roof, or whatever the name of the establishment is.
Yeah, the Green Roof Tavern is strangely enough, for a Nemersian settlement, a 2-story affair. You guys have a ground floor location, and Haraka has picked a place by the bar as he to come in. He says, "Oh, and we've picked up another companion of ours. He has a rather young-looking Nemersian girl that has her her green freckles across her cheekbones. They're kind of she's got makeup about them that kind of makes them stand out on her face. Actually makes her look very pretty. She's actually sitting on his lap, but he's just kind of like pats her on the rump there for a moment. Stand up, my dear. See, she gets up. She finds a seat nearby and goes, "Oh, out there. I have made arrangements. You are bunking with us this evening. They have room for you."
I put my hand on Haraka's shoulder, and then I say quietly in his ear, "This one knows Shihan. He's family of Shihan." I told him what happened.
You told him that you killed him?
Hush. We need to speak of this.
Which really wasn't that quiet, but it was kind of a harsh whisper.
Shall I make an awareness test?
Oh yeah.
My hand clenches on his shoulder. Against really hard on his shoulder as I squeeze.
I'll do the talking. Go sit down. I was like, he grabs like a fistful of your belt and just pulls you in that direction, and just kind of pushes you past him.
I resist as I kind of hold my ground if I can.
Okay.
And I will whisper quite sinisterly in his ear, "I did not kill him."
Oh.
And I stare at him for a long moment. As that's
right. The sorcerer used your hand through his sorcery to murder our friend. Of course, it was his fault.
And I look at him for a long moment.
Go sit down.
What are you two whispering about over there?
Right? Menacingly hissing at each other in Feywise.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Halter says that in very fluent Feywise, just so you know.
Okay.
His accent's a little off, maybe, but
I
obviously
straighten
his
up and
uncle
look down at
taught
him. I look down at I assume he's probably sitting. Haraka is sitting as I
He's not.
stand up.
He's actually standing there. He
He's
walked
actually
across the dining room to meet you guys like halfway.
I look at him for a good long moment still. Smile sinisterly again, and definitely holding back a monstrous just assault of rage and death upon this person.
Yeah.
As I then slowly turn and look at Halthy, and I gesture him to come, let us sit.
Okay.
As I
Halthy will
slowly,
nod.
almost mechanically.
Haraka just
Around the
stands there,
table.
kind of smirks the way a fucking vagabond would, with that just murder on Ukion's face. Yeah, he's well aware that you're trying to kill him with a look. He does indicate to both of you that one of the larger kind of like circular areas, that table there.
Okay. Halter goes over, looks down, lays his rolled up carpet, which by the way is about that big around, give or take. It's a good maybe 2 feet across, probably. Lays that down against the wall, lays down the log next to it, and slides to the floor with his back against the wall in a fairly comfortable looking position. Obviously, there's no chairs here. I'm assuming they'll be anywhere near his size.
They have a cushion, an ogre-sized cushion that you're sitting on, but no chairs.
No chairs. I don't think there's wood in this part of the country that would be sturdy enough to hold up our weight.
Not really.
Mm-hmm. He looks over to Ukion and says, "Your friend there, he's a bit, well, not sure what the polite word is to say. Is he your friend?"
I don't.
We have yet to discuss our friendship, Ukion and I, but we are associated through my liege lord.
We are companions on a common purpose to hunt and kill and slay something that is causing all of us misery.
Yes.
So
we are united together to slay this thing, which unfortunately, Halthir, I believe perhaps you may be caught up in.
He puts his elbow on the table as if he's leaning on it, and the poor wood groans as he leans over and sort of strokes his beard a little bit. And he says, looks around, and what might seem to be conspiratorial to an ogre, he says, "So, you spoke of a sorcerer, and
we won't speak of such things here in public. That requires us to be behind closed doors and in private. Painfully careful. That's mostly towards Ukion."
Halthir sort of slides back a little bit and looks around, almost as if to say, "But we're not in public." Oh, as you wish.
There's plenty of people in here that are also customers. Yeah.
But, and he looks at Ukion, "I would hear of my uncle's death. I will have to take word back to my mother and my father. I'm afraid it'll be the death of them, but
I feel that would require also a private talk."
He thinks back for a moment and he says,
unless of course Ukion wants to give it all right here and let the enemy hear us.
I'm curious as to what enemy you believe are listening to us right now, Haraka. Do you know something that we don't? It should be plainly obvious that we do not seek this one quietly.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, Halther is looking at every single person here, and it's like, yeah, I've seen her. I've seen him. He's looking for strangers.
Go ahead and make me an awareness test.
Okay.
Yeah, Ukion, go ahead and do it too.
That one's going to be a 22.
Ooh. There's a few people here that you can't place on,
Okay.
like as maybe they're regulars,
24.
Okay.
but there's perhaps maybe it's just how plain they look.
Okay.
They seem like they possibly might fit, but
Okay.
that shouldn't say that you're comfortable speaking about sensitive matters here anyway.
He eyeballs those few and just sort of keeps his eyes on them, and he says, I apologize. I'm not used to all the skullduggery. I've heard tales of it. Of course, my father said that he and Shihan were engaged in all type of this business, but I'm just simple trader. So I apologize if I have put your quest in any kind of danger.
Not at all. Not at all.
I do have a room. I specifically requested a room that one of the girls could put an ogre cushion in. Should
Then
you
perhaps we should go there if we wish to speak in private and secrecy. Then
exactly?
is
my
it ready
thoughts.
now?
It is.
Then let us proceed. Let's go.
As you wish. He'll gather his things and rise up to his stooped over height, as I'm sure his back is brushing the rafters.
You get hung up on one of the the cloak hooks, but you're able to not pull the building down on top of everyone.
Yeah. For a moment there where everybody stares because they hear a loud groaning noise, and just, apologies.
Someone almost spills their beer, but they save it. You find yourselves back in this this room, kind of a wide, squat room. What it is, it's kind of a flop room. It's like 3 copper for you to like throw a bedroll down. But Haraka's bought the room and then had an ogre cushion put in it, and then there's put 2 beds. So it's the best thing you're gonna get here.
Althir will crawl in. He says, "This is cozy." He looks around and reaches up and taps the ceiling above him.
You
As
can
he's reclining.
comfortably reach up and put your palm on the ceiling. Yeah,
that's what he was thinking.
From the seated position.
Yeah.
I walk over to the corner of the room and I throw down my pack and my gear. I throw down my bedroll and use that as a bit of a cushion or a bit a seat, and then I drop down on it as I stretch my legs from the long ride in the saddle, and try and get myself as comfortable as possible as we sort of make a bit of a circle, I suppose, in the middle of the room.
Yeah. Althir will move his stuff out of the way to make sure there's room for everyone. And as he puts that club down, you hear this loud thunk that reverberates to the floor. He says, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to drop it."
I think this will be a good time where we can speak of what has happened.
Haraka locks the door behind all of you. Sees you with a big bronze
For everyone's
key.
benefits in the room, so that we may all be clear as to what has happened. And there's a bit of a growl.
Yes,
Low ceiling
Ukion,
growl.
I believe you should be the one to break it to him.
Fantastic. Now let me
Althir
speak and be silent a moment.
Silent as a
Good.
mouse.
Alfie,
Yes.
I met your uncle Shihan about about a cycle ago in the camp of High King Orncath, a war camp on the coast, as where the Atlantean armies are still raging and burning the coast. There, we managed to find ourselves upon the same purpose. I am of the court of autumn, and you may not know this, but this one we hunt, the sorcerer, has defiled this court, and so has sent the agents and hunters of the court to find this one. There are many of us, but we are scattered. I managed to find a lead myself in the High King's camp and joined forces with Shihan and another who is not with us now, but he is resting in the hospitality of the temple of the silent monolith in this town. He goes by the name of Somanak. He is a priest of the silent monolith. We have been traveling for quite a long, for many chains on the road. I've come to find and grow acquaintanced and even close with Shihan during this journey. He was strong, though he was burdened by the very existence of this sorcerer. It seems from his stories that this sorcerer had wronged him deeply, and so he was on this quest for vengeance. Eventually, we managed to find a lead, and I gestured towards Haraka. They spoke that this one may have heard something of this red devil sorcerer, and so we met in his keep. We have managed to find a band of these primordials, these red devil people, servants of the sorcerer. We managed to slay them as they were attempting to defile a grove. It is outside the town of Bree, about 40 days ride from here, or perhaps 30 days ride from here, I should say. There we found a crystal. I am no wizard. Perhaps if you are knowledgeable about such things, Somanak, my companion, the other one of our hunters' crew, may be able to tell you more. But we found a crystal that we believe was a link or some sort of correspondence that the sorcerer could navigate, or perhaps could control and guide his servants throughout the world to destroy shrines for his purpose. Some sort of magic ritual, we believe, but exactly we know not at this time. It was 41 days ago, the night when we were preparing to leave that town of Bree and journey here to search for the oracle, that the sorcerer attacked us in our dreams. It came at us. Shihan roared into a rage. He woke, he struck at me, madness in his eye, and then just as I was shook from my sleep and I saw Shihan rush at me with a dagger in his hand, I then saw his form flicker and shift, and I felt the bewitchment of the sorcerer upon my eyes, and I saw Endukaga
Wait,
in him.
Indukaga?
The,
That is
the
the sorcerer
same.
we hunt.
Indukaga has been dead for
He is alive.
since before I was.
He is very much alive, and he hunts us as we hunt him.
So is this
It is because
Indukaga
of
the one that
him.
slew Shihan?
It is because of him that Shihan is dead.
I suggest you be truthful with the lad.
I am truthful, you snake. You vile scum in the shape of Arathius' spawn. How dare you besmirch me and claim that I slew Shihan, my companion, my friend.
You feel
I
at
was
that. You feel a
just as he was.
presence as a big hand comes over towards you, Ukion. Not like it's going to hit you, but you feel this hand come down and sort of clamp onto you.
Right. I will
as if
attempt to
get
avoid
your attention
I'm
back.
I would definitely try and avoid. I would definitely try and not get grabbed. Definitely.
Okay.
If I can. I don't know what to roll, but
That would be a defense test, wouldn't it? I guess.
Yeah, this
technically.
would technically be a grapple because you're trying to
Okay.
grab him, but yeah, no, it's a simple defense test.
Okay.
it's a 5 and a 2 on dice. Let's see. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, make just a standard grapple.
That's a
attack.
16 for healthier.
Okay.
I think you're gonna get me. That's gonna be. Yeah, that's only like a 13. Yeah.
Okay. So as you try to move about, you feel this hand come and clamp down. It's as if someone's reaching for your shoulder, but this hand is so large it like grabs the upper half of your chest.
Yeah.
And the hand like turns you back towards him as if to pull you away from this argument you're having. And he says, "What does he mean?" And this big looming figure is right there. What does he mean?
I stare at you with like huge wide eyes of shock and fury and just like horrified and terrified as I'm being grabbed by this monster. So like I don't say anything for a moment. I'm just Shihan was bewitched. He saw me as Endukaga, and then I saw him as Endukaga, and we fought. And Shihan fell to my blade, for I was bewitched.
Was it that hard? You cannot
Araka,
be faulted.
you say that to me one more time, and I swear by Arathius' golden glory horns, I will slay you here in this room right now.
You feel the pressure increasing on your shoulder, not as if you're trying to be crushed. It's as if this figure is just feeling a lot of stress right now. And that grip is just getting a little tighter, and it might actually cause a little bit of a breathing issue for a second. And then he lets go and sits back against the wall. His hand is sort of up, and there's a look of shock on his face.
What is it, ogre? You wish to call a blood oath on me for sorcery that was cast upon us both? Is that it now? I loved Shihan.
Tell me this. At the moment he fell, what happened? Exactly what happened?
Give me a moment to think. Just give me a moment.
Did he fall over a fire or trip and fall to the ground?
The moment he fell, my silence, Taraka. You be quiet. Let me speak. Your time to speak will come soon enough. Your venomous, poison, daggered words. Let me think. Althea. The moment he fell, he was laying on the ground. something changed. The bewitchment fell from him as it did mine. I saw him. I saw a kind face, a tired face. I saw a promise in his eyes. I saw nobility in his eyes. I saw the eyes of a dying warrior. That's what I saw. That's what happened. I know not how else to put it into words.
He leans back, he strokes his beard, he looks at you. There's this, it's sort of it's hard to interpret exactly what he's thinking at this moment. He's looking at you almost in a very calculated way. He said, you were in a shed or a building attached to a home.
Yes.
A workshop, maybe.
Yes.
He charged, well, as you say, you.
Yes, I remember.
Father's dream.
I have not been able to forget.
Father's dream was he saw Shihan charging into Kaga. And Dukaga drew a scythe or a scythe-like blade and fought with him.
And there is,
And
of
then-
course, that pole arm, which is very evident. It's
And then
very
he
large and not difficult to hide.
And then he fell. And Dukaga plunged the blade through his chest, stuffing his light from this world, sending it to the beyond. But I know something, well, I think there may be something. Father told me. You see, when in their travels, when he and Shihan were on their adventures before they had returned home with Mother, there was a time when Father was separated and was fighting for his life against all manner of beasts in the snow, trying to get back to her. For Shihan had fallen, his leg had been broken. And Shihan and my mother were being tended to at a camp when they brought Father in. There was a, well, man, I suppose you would say, who was the leader of the band who was tending to my mother and Shihan. According to Father, he got a message from him a chain and a half ago, just about the time that he sent me here to Hawthorne. He said, Af says to go find the one in Dukaga's hand. I thought I was coming to find someone who was carrying around a trophy from a dead man. Never once did I think it was someone who had been used like a hand, as a hand slides into a glove to do something so heinous.
I look utterly destroyed at those words, and my knees even start to buckle and shake as I feel completely overwhelmed. As I step back a few feet and then hit up against the wood door, as I begin to then grab a hold of my forehead. My hands are in my face as I then begin to slide down the side and crumple down, sitting position against the wall, holding my face, listening.
Halter
Quiet.
sits back, sees your reaction, looks at the other one. What's his reaction to all this, by the way? Just Mr. Narrator.
Haraka is listening quietly.
His father said I would come here and find something.
I think you found him.
I think so.
Well, Halthir, son of Blogvir, welcome to the company of Ukion of Tunowith.
Hmm.
We are waiting on the fasting and a cleansing of our companion, Samanak. You've just
Hmm.
been informed of. Once that is done, we're out on the road.
I've heard of Samanak. At least I've heard those who speak of him. And yes, I know this nymph you're looking for. I believe I know where she might be, actually.
Good. Shihan was the only one who was our next lead. And when he was taken from us in an untimely fashion, he shoots a very cautious look to Ukion. The enemy crippled us.
Hmm.
Possibly, if you know this Oracle, if you've met her or you know where she is, then possibly we can continue our hunt.
I believe I can lead you to her.
Through muffled hands, you hear the words from Ukion. If you wish to slay me for what I have done, then you may. I will not stop you.
Hmm.
My blood price.
He looks over
Is
at you and
fair.
he says, "That's not my decision to make. Once this business is done, though, we'll be visiting my father. And I will let him make that decision, as is right. But I must ask you one thing. Do you have anything of his?"
Of Shihan.
Yes. Small token, something that may have been taken from his person.
Everything was taken by a banshee. The consort of his. He disappeared. His body, his things, everything disappeared into nothing. I could not even give him a proper burial.
That was a proper burial. His wife took him.
Where do the banshees take their mates when they die?
I don't know,
Hmm.
but I have something I need to do. You may accompany me if you wish, but it's something I need to do. And he reaches over and grabs the club and goes over and looks at the door, looks over at Haraka. He says, "Could you open this for me, please?"
Of course. Ukion, are you going with him?
I will stay here a while.
All right, then. He unlocks the door and then tosses the big bronze key at Ukion's feet and says, if you want
It clatters
company,
to the ground.
I'll come with.
As you wish. He walks out out of the inn and begins heading towards the direction of the river.
Oh, that's not far from Hawthorne, actually.
And he actually goes a bit upstream from the actual town itself to a place where the river runs smooth and almost glassy, where it's not too awful rough. And he steps out into the water. And you may have seen this on Shihan at some point, but this is he shakes out of his tunic on his left arm a chain with a little bauble on it. Looks to be the shape of a fish. And he just plops down in the river so that he's actually about chest deep where he's at. And he leans back and he just starts to cry. cries for probably 5 minutes wordlessly.
Haraka will, well, when he sees this, he'll give you the respect and actually turn his back.
Okay. After about 5 minutes of just crying, he looks at the water and he just calls out. He says, "I know you're there. You always were. Father said you would be in these parts." Shihan fell, and his wife took him. I would take a token back to my father if you would give it. That's all I ask.
Make me a sight test. It's actually
All
quite
right.
interesting.
Okay, back over to my site. 13.
Oh, all right, all right. There is kind of a long moment. I actually don't know if you're actually being heard. There's that silence draws out, seemingly uncomfortably long. But after a while, there's a ripple. And what rises from the river on a lily pad is a horn.
Okay. He reaches out, picks it up gingerly. Is it like just like a little spike of it, or like an entire horn?
It looks like it has been plucked from the head of somebody.
Okay.
It still has that bloody stump on the end of it where it meets, and once you take this thing up, you get this image that's flashed, like floods into your mind, of Shihan on his knees,
Okay.
in a line of other thieves and brigands. You see two humans clad in fey clothes that actually get beheaded in this.
Hmm.
And a captain goes down the line and says some words to each and plucks the horns from the offending fey.
Hmm. He'll take this horn and he'll look to the water and say, "Thank you. Thank you very much." And he'll place it in, he'll take this thing and place it into his pouch. And he'll reach into the pouch and he'll pull out a knife. It's a utility knife. It's not something you would see like one would use to cut meat, or a dagger one would use in fighting. More of a thing that you would think of to trim thread, or possibly sharpen sharpen a bone needle or something like that. And it's small in his hands, made of a black stone of some type, possibly an obsidian one. And he takes this and he places it to his thumb and presses enough to bring blood. And he holds his hand out and he squeezes his hand. That blood drips off of his fingers. You say, "This is my thanks."
As you you place this horn into a safe pouch, the thing is incredibly cold.
Okay.
Like, it's the most frigid winter you've felt. It with your hands being wet as they are, it almost freezes to your hand a couple times.
Okay.
Shihan's previous horns actually were quite resemblant of a thorn bush. These are actually barbed and tipped,
Okay.
and they look menacing. But the thing is, there's a It's not a malevolent presence, but it is certainly unkind.
Okay. And then Halthier will, as I said, after he does that, he gives his thanks. He'll stand up out of the water, walk to the edge of the river, and look back, water dripping off of him, pouring off of him in probably buckets. And he just sort of nods.
What did you ask for? Says Horaka.
Something to take my father.
So what did the Pike Lord give you?
He reaches down and pats his pouch. He says, "What I asked for."
Fair enough, as you will. I would be careful about choosing to join our company. There is some myself included. The three of us seem, well, let me correct myself. Samanak is the glue that holds us together.
Hmm.
I am a vassal to the Saint of Song, Lord Felsong.
Hmm.
And
That is,
Ukion is, he has been charged by his court to hunt down the sorcerer himself. He and I do not see eye to eye, but I will tell you one thing. He did not love Shihan.
Shihan was a hard one to love.
He was.
Even a young child like myself. Oh, there was always a distance from him. There was always a darkness in him.
The way I understand it, he was cursed for something in a terrible previous life.
Yes. He had to do things then that stained his soul. He never spoke of them, but that, well, when he fell, was he still wearing the cloak, scarf, whatever he called it?
The skin of the sorcerer? Yes.
Yes. The taking of that skin left a stain on his soul.
I do not doubt it. It was a horrible thing.
And he was just, I think he was finally coming to, well, coming to grapple with it. So if this sorcerer showed up again, not laid low like he should have been, and that if Shihan had done that and stained his soul in such a way for naught, I can see how he would feel cursed.
As you guys are actually on your way back into town, you're
Mhm.
walking and talking as this conversation is going around.
Yes.
I am, I have been an outcast amongst my peoples. I was never banished. I never had my horns removed, as I had come to learn that Shihan was previously a kinslayer.
Yes. His horns were removed.
Awarthios, preserve him wherever he may end up. But in my exile, I have studied some of the sorcery, and that red stone, the crystal that Ukion had spoken of, I believe that was a way of speaking, way of seeing over great distances. I do believe Ukion is correct in this, that the sorcerer was using this to communicate with his subordinates. However, I cannot pin down whether it was in fact the stone that allowed the sorcerer to ensorcel our party or company and then slay him with the hands of our companion. At that, Haraka just rolls his eyes, pained at this, and he was so expert. He knew how to hit us where it hurt.
My father says if this is true, this is truly who you are facing, and not some person who has taken the name as a, I don't know,
A
a
cheap
mantle.
amateur? No.
Could be, but if this is true, he did say that that foul sorcerer had many ways of manipulating people. That one of the things he would do was to get into someone's head and make them do things that they would not normally do.
Here, in our company, Ukion is captain. That is correct. We do follow his lead, though Samanak is the buffer between he and I. I have always been, I'm one of the dirty friends, so to speak.
I cannot tell you how many times I had heard Shihan refer to himself in such a way.
I only knew Shihan for a short period of time, but Shihan and I were very good companions.
Yeah. He always referred to himself as
It's a black sheep.
Yes.
Yes.
I was gonna say the sheep with dark wool.
Yes.
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 My mother always said if she found such a sheep, she would shear him and make a beautiful ebon cloak.
Oh, that would have looked beautiful on him. And that's
Mm.
actually when Haraka's actually eyes get a little misty. It's like, all right, enough of this.
Well, there is actually one story I could possibly tell you that if this, okay, so this sorcerer, do you know how he may have reawakened from the grave, or do you know, have you heard of what is, I mean, is he truly alive, just scarred horribly, or is there some foul magic involved?
I believe that he is simply a haunting, and the scarf allowed him to come back, and he haunted specifically Shihan in this way through that implement.
Father told me of something,
but that's the only thing I could.
He told me that one of the times that he had to deal with the minions of this sorcerer was somewhere near here. It was a tomb. In fact, I know this story well, before it's where my father's lifelong friend Gilfric fell, just outside. That within there was a
Are you talking about the tomb of Ghost Owl?
Yes, the tomb of Ghost Owl. Apparently there was some book or tome that was hid within that well, I don't know much about these things myself, but could grant something that had died a passage back and back into its bones.
We can truly hope that this is not the case, and maybe just the mortal sorcerer, horribly scarred that he may or may not be. I hope he is, damn him.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully.
if he is somewhere between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead, that may make our quest worse.
It may, but Father's tales told me much. There may be allies in that. And he winks at that. He said, remember the tale I was telling back at the end about my father and his trials with the wild beasts?
Yes.
Well, technically, according to my mother, he died then. But
Blogveer died then.
yes.
Well,
mostly died, as she puts it.
I have died
chuckles.
twice already. And in that sense, is that what you mean?
No, as in his heart stopped beating and he began to cross over into the world of the dead, the realm of shadows. But in that case, there was someone there who was able to call him back home.
And who was this?
Well, I don't recall the name exactly. It was Gath or Math or something like that. But I do remember he was leader of a group, a band of brigands called the White Grasp.
I don't know. I don't remember.
They may not be about it at this point anymore, because that was, as I said, before my time, before I was born. The father told me those tales, though. But supposedly their leader was one who had, well, he had he had avoided the grasp of the Grey Lord.
Maybe.
Maybe. These are just, for all I know, these are just tales that an old man tells his son to scare him as a child. I don't
War
know. But
stories,
mother,
yeah.
yes, but mother would sit in her rocking chair, repairing skeins of yarn or spinning, while father would tell these tales. And usually, whenever he would tell that tale, she would stop and turn and listen.
Shall we visit our companion?
Yes, let's see if he is. Well, let's see. He'll head back into town, I guess. Go back and find Ukion.
I believe we left Ukion meditating in the room
Upstairs, yeah. In the sort of time as that was happening,
Say what, an hour and 40 minutes, Keith?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
so in that time, Ukion just sitting there, just weeping, his face up against his bedroll, weeping and angrily with fury and just tears and sorrow just streaming from him. And after about 30 minutes of this, he then begins to mumble, and he feels a familiar presence enter that room. As he looks up and he sees a visage of something familiar. He
Ukion
says
enters
quietly,
the room and says, Captain, we've returned.
Ukion did. It's the presence.
We've
We've returned.
entered the tavern, Keith.
Yes. So the presence you sensed wasn't, I guess, so much a sense as you realize the smell of wet ogre.
What does a wet ogre smell like?
Well, it's hard to describe, but it's very earthy. As Halthier pulls himself over to the side, the pallet there, pulls his squelching boots off of his feet, revealing his wonderful two toes. Looks quite odd. And he looks over at Ukion and says, "No, Shihan is truly beyond this world."
Yes. Yes.
I need
yes.
ale. Lots of ale.
Am I right in assuming that you're going to be joining our company out there?
I need to see this through. I need to find out if this sorcerer is the one who he claims to be, or if he is a pretender. And I may have some tales that may be of use to you in finding out.
Excellent. I will go and visit our companion Samanak in the temple. I'll leave you two to catch up, eh?
As you wish.
Captain.
As you pass the front, would you please have them send?
I'll send a
Um,
runner to your home.
we'll send a barrel, if you would, back here first.
Oh, both, yes.
He'll reach into his pocket and toss a few coins of silver that way and say, "This should cover it."
Well, Haraka walks over probably to where the bronze key still lay at Ukion's feet, stoops
Yeah, it
and
hasn't
picks
been
it up.
touched. Yeah.
He'll retrieve it, walk to the door, and he'll actually bow very smartly and very respectfully to Ukion. He says, "I shall be back shortly."
Unfortunately, I'm not looking in that direction. He sees I'm still looking down.
Oh yeah.
Just in a bit of a daze. Yeah, just from knowledge of the scene.
Perfect. Nevertheless, he is showing you the respect that the captain of the company deserves. He closes the door quietly and respectfully behind him. And what we will do is the stage curtains will close on that scene. And we will fast forward the next 6 days. On the morning of the 10th day, the previously known entity known as Salmanek is now reborn to us, sitting in company with us at our usual gathering place that evening for that evening's meal. Mike, would you describe your character for us, please?
The entity once known as Ilmatar, once known as Salmanak, sits before everyone as his name is now Silmanas. It is a small play on words, taking literally the silent monolith as part of his new namesake. He is a Dawn Fairfolk, standing, I have him right around 5'9", 5'10" in height. He is now clear of the affliction that had affected him for so long. His tears are no longer inky. His fingertips are no longer inky. The malice that he had starting to brew in his heart and his mind has kind of cleansed. And he is sitting there with, well, besides being exhausted from his ordeal, but with an almost Zen dedication and kind of peacefulness in his eyes now. Ukion had once seen him full of rage at the transpiring events. If Ukion was to glance upon him now, he probably would be almost as equally, I don't want to say scared, but intrigued at the almost 180 that his dear friend has come across. At the moment, Silmanas is dressed in simply a robe, having done away with his Fey Iron armaments during his cleansing, so to speak. He actually doesn't even have any embellishments on the robe. It is simply a brown and green robe.
He's garbed as a traveling friar now. Nice.
If someone was to see him now and did not know who he was, they would see him as possibly an acolyte, if even that. He basically put himself back down to the barest of bones as he came out of this new and reborn. So he only saw it fitting to have the attire of a reborn one as well as the name. So that is who the people now see.
In the past 6 days, Captain, what has come of Ukion's mind? I would like a brief soliloquy from him specifically.
In the days or perhaps a night, perhaps in that time between when Ukion was left alone as Haraka and Healthy went to the river We see Ukian sitting there after the tears, after the meditations, the sorrow, the mourning, again and again. We won't stop. And he feels it, that presence in the room. That which he knows very well. A thing called the autumn sorrow. He sees it there, the corner of his eye. It's a presence, a whisper to it. I see you back, my autumn patron. I feel it. I feel what my father felt, I suppose. What led him to abandon his tyranny in the temple of Tuneowith and lead him away to his final rest. I wonder, was it a final rest you gave him, oh autumn sorrow? Or did you eat him? I don't know. You will never tell me, will you? Perhaps one day when I find the crown, I will know. I wish to know, so that I can at least make that right before I see to it that I receive the justice that is deserved to the family of Shihan. I will stay true to my purpose, the greater purpose of slaying Endu Kaga. I will find out what I did, what happened to my father, where you led him astray, where you led him to a place where I cannot follow, to a place I cannot find. And then when that is done, I shall see this Blogvir. And that is my road I shall take. That's it. It's the right thing to do. It's the only thing I can do now. As after the days afterwards, there is a tranquil solemnness falls over Ukian as he goes about the duties of preparation, of investigation in a very monotonous and automatic fashion, mechanical fashion, determined, the fires of his soul dimmed and dulled, replaced with an apathetic cloud almost, it seems from the outside, but one who is determined to see to the work that it needs to be done. That's it.
Excellent. As Silmanos rejoins us, we have that, what did I say? It was evening? Evening of the 10th day? Or was the afternoon of the 10th day? I'm so sorry. But well, we'll say the afternoon then. On the afternoon of the 10th day, you pull out the stops for a celebration as he rejoins our company. But once you've broken your fast for that morning and have been regaled with the trials, the tribulation of having the shadow sickness lifted from one's soul, the five of you, excuse me, are back out on the road in search for this elusive Talara.
It is good to have you with us again, Silmanos. Very good to see you. Well, you look like a newborn man.
They're, well, as Haraka packs down your now two baggage steeds, one of which was Halthir's, one of which was the company's previously. He speaks up. Halthir, where did you say that this oracle possibly lairs herself?
Oh, she's he motions with his hands that way. In the forest. The woodlands.
Of course.
It's near.
Vague. Lead us, would you?
Oh, I
She
will.
has evaded the captain and I for an entire chain now. I'd like to see how well she can weave her sorcery.
Well, I don't know necessarily that she's trying to hide from you. She just maybe, I don't know, looks right at you there and says, maybe she's just afraid of you.
Oh, come
Well,
now.
Well, I mean, look at the way you're dressed.
I
and
realize
he-
I'm dressed like a brigand. Ukion is
He-
no different. You should have saw Somenos before he had come back.
But, and he reaches into his pouch and pulls out a cloak.
You
and
are
hands it over
the
to
only
Ukion.
one that is dressed like a commoner and
Oh, I forgot
perfectly
about this. Thank
fine.
you.
Not a commoner.
A tradesman, a merchant, an upright standing individual of this realm.
But I am.
See?
And he drapes this cloak over Ukion's shoulders and smooths down almost like did the entire front and back of its upper body down and steps back and looks and says, does it fit better now?
I look over surprised, completely haven't forgotten this.
No, of course
This
not.
request. This is very
It-
fine. Thank you.
It actually
You
has
do me
a
too much kindness, son
it
of
had-
Bologvir.
it has a rust stripe down the back and then about where it hits the shoulders and comes down just in the front are also two stripes of this rust that as you move it sort of flares and shows it then falls back and hides it again.
It's very fine. My greatest thanks. Truly.
Just a minor alteration. He looks over and he says,
It's not
but
bad.
you my friend, what do you think about this? And he's pointing he points past Ukion up to their companion there and says, Haraka,
Yes.
we need to change it. As you said yourself, you appear to be a brigand on the road. Maybe that's why no one wants to speak with you. Maybe we need to
Well,
redress you. And I mean, and he motions at Silmanus. He says, we have an acolyte here, obviously very
the most respectable of us. Look
of course
at him.
he is. Of course he is. Now Ukion is looking a bit a cut above. We can't have you.
I do not know
dragging
what
down our
brigands you
style.
speak of, Haruka, that wear the orange and blazoned garb and armor of the Autumn Court.
Well,
Are there Autumn Courtier brigands in these lands?
They would be seen as such in many
depending
cases.
on who you speak to, Captain, I truly that is I cannot necessarily answer that well enough for you.
Good
To the
know that.
Sealy, of course.
Hmm,
Scum,
yes.
horrid things. He smiles at you,
And I'm just like
attempting to
deadpan.
spill that gloom.
Yeah, and I'm just like deadpan the entire time.
and Halthir will be at this entire time leading them down a path, track heading into this forest near the town.
But Halthir, if you wish to get me a cloak, I shall
Give you a
relent.
cloak. So what do you want? Bright yellow?
Oh no.
Well, that way no one would ever mistaken you for a brigand. For no brigand would dress in such bright clothing.
Nothing so bright and flashy. Oh,
Purple and blue.
oh no. Something green or brown,
I can
mostly gray.
I
Something
can
that'll
take
help me
I can put
skulk
you in
through
green. I can put
Ah,
you in green. Yes,
something
I'll
will
begin
help.
working on it.
Excellent. See, that evening,
Mhm.
you don't going into the woodland, you don't find her straight away. But Halthair, you've never met her personally, but you do
Mhm.
you have it on good authority. This is where she lairs. It's this
Right.
woodland here.
Okay.
The four of you bed down for the evening and settle your horses in. Sometime as that evening supper, Quartermaster, what are we having for dinner tonight? Jono?
Sorry, I just lagged out there. Sometime that evening
You're,
supper. That's the last time I heard.
I said, what are we having for dinner tonight, Quartermaster?
I believe mushrooms are in order, as well as some chestnuts, mushrooms, and some cabbage.
Gonna make a
So
wild lore.
a bit of a stew.
Sure. Stew
seem
tonight,
reasonable.
yeah. Is Sylvanas affirming that he does not like Ukian's cooking or his menu?
He's not saying that, but he is also he's also one to
Help.
still forage for what he can to extend what resources we have.
Okay.
Keep in mind, he also hasn't seen them in a change, so he has no idea what resources we even truly have. So
Well.
it's kind of Silmanas's, well, as it was Salmonak's, as it was Ilmatar's mindset of we're betting down, what can we forage to help extend?
Excellent.
Okay. Halthier actually will look at this food. And he'll go over and off of his horse, reach up and
The 25, by the way.
take an
Okay.
ancient looking wine skin down, and he'll pop the top off of it, swirl it around a little bit, and take a big swig, and then cap it, and look and says, "Does anyone else want any?"
Haraka will get your evening fire going as you guys are going to attempt to get some cooking on. But Silmanos, you're actually able to. Are you hunting and foraging, or just foraging for wild edibles?
At the moment, it would. I mean, he does have his spear, so if he sees something he could get easy enough, he will. Otherwise, it's just going to be foraging because he's trying to not make too much noise.
You are able to get yourself a brace of bass from the local river there with your spear with that roll. Some fat
Nice.
largemouths.
Nice.
So it seems I probably know that Silmanos probably eats a lot of meat. I know we're omnivores, like Dawn Fairfolk are omnivores.
Yes,
Is
they
it pretty rare? Is it pretty rare for people to eat so much meat, or is it sort of uncommon? I thought like vegetarianism was pretty popular among our kind. Not sure.
You guys are omnivores. However, priests of the Silent Monolith are vegetarian strictly, but Silmanos is actually the leader of a sect that's actually omnivores.
Right, yeah.
So
we blame it on the winter side.
Heretical sect of meat eaters.
Oh yeah, no. That's if you really want to be that pious in this party, oh, by all means, please do so.
I blame it on the winter sect side because vegetation's lean in the winter.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's pretty logical.
Had to adapt and eat meat to survive.
It's also the season of the wolf.
Yes. Now, fun fact about Dawn Fairfolk in general, those who worship Larthios as their patron, venison is only eaten at certain times of the cycle and in certain seasons. Besides that, you guys are pretty omnivorous. Quite a few communities, however, will be more vegetarian leaning.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there's a little bit of lore there for you.
That's really cool. Thank you. Appreciate
So
it.
we relish the
Cool.
meat when we can eat it.
Yeah. So I definitely if I'm ever in charge of cooking, I would definitely lean towards more vegetarian kind of meals. Occasionally putting in some some fish or something, but very
After
rarely.
he's already given himself the vegetarian portion.
Oh shit.
And then puts meat in afterwards.
Yeah.
This is what I want. This is my vegetarian. We'll put meat in after that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So we sort of have a very good a system working that works well for everyone.
You guys are getting ready to sleep that evening. And you don't have much in this woodland specifically for because you guys are actually going off of like Halthier's local knowledge. It's actually really damn peaceful here. And you don't feel that there's much need for a watch or a sleep shift. So
It's so quiet. Yeah.
oh yeah, no, I mean quiet. I mean with obviously the sounds of the forest there, but not unnaturally
It's
quiet.
peaceful, but it's
Peacefully,
not
thank you.
yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But you guys are like getting down under the covers, and like you do your last fire check. I'm like, all right, that's gonna go out in like 4.5 hours, and it's not gonna burn down the forest. We're fine. You're kind of checking off your I can now fall asleep peacefully list for the night that all campers go through. And then a presence enters your camp in like the dimness of that night, which I'm going to pick on Ukion a little briefly here. Probably the most on edge when a shape swaggers into the encampment.
Yeah, definitely.
You are the first to act here. We're not necessarily in combat, so give me a reaction here. You just see a slim shape.
Okay, that's a 9 on dice plus. Let's see. All right. And sorry, reaction is going to be reflexes.
Oh, what this is technically narrative combat. You don't have to roll for this.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, cool.
Reaction is literally your reaction, not a reaction.
Yes.
Oh, what's my reaction?
No, I'm so sorry. No, my apologies.
That's okay. Yeah, okay. So I see a silhouetted form or some sort of form walk into the camp. I will immediately I for a second I'll actually kind of like squint my eyes, rub my eyes. I think it's probably Haraka going to go take a piss or something or something like that. So I kind of don't take it any mind for a second, and then I just kind of turn and look over and I see Haraka sleeping in his bedroll, and that's when I shoot up and knock over like a pot or something and make a bit of a clatter. Perhaps my
that was the leftovers. Damn you.
Yeah. And my armor as well. Of course I'm not sleeping in my armor. Fuck that. So
you hear
so that I knock that over a little bit as I stand reaching for my polearm as the voice says.
As you hear the calming and loving gravelly voice. Good evening, Ukion, my lad. As he steps he steps into the firelight, and you see the saint of music himself.
Lord Ednost Fellsong.
Good evening, boys.
He
actually goes in for a hug at this point. He actually comes in with like
it's kind of a funny, awkward moment as he kind of walks forward to embrace me. I then kind of like bend the knee with my pole arm sort of resting now against the ground. I then sort of bend the knee, so he has to come. Comes up to me, and then I stand up and see him. And as he embraces me, I will embrace him back, just shocked and taken aback. As I'll let the others react because this has been loud. So they're definitely.
The entire camp is aroused now.
Yeah. There's a strange man hugging Ukion in the middle of the camp. What do you do?
Altair sits up, sees this tableau in front of him of Ukion hugging someone. he looks over at Sylvanas and looks over at Haraka and basically is going to wait for their reaction. But he's like, "This is odd. Didn't think you knew anyone around here."
Haraka is quickly standing up, as that's his liege lord. He takes a knee at attention there. And he when Felsong actually sees this, he goes, "Rise. This isn't a formal occasion." He's actually shaved since last you guys saw him. It's not this immense like curtain in front of him. It's actually
He had a mega
tapered
beard.
to about like where just above where his navel would be. So it's still pretty Gandalf, but
is he wearing clothes though now?
he is actually wearing
okay,
clothes now.
good.
Yes.
Good, because that would be awkward otherwise.
No. He is properly dressed for the road now.
Healthy. This is Edenost Felsong, a legend brought back from his eternal rest.
Oh,
It is an honor, Felsong, to see you. We have not been expecting you. To what honor do we owe this pleasure of your visit, my lord?
I think we should sleep for now, and I should explain in the morning.
Yes,
Suffice it to say that our road will be joined for a short time. May I share your road with you?
At once. Like it's
yes.
be a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, Halther actually is looking around outside the camp. He looks back at him and says, "How did you find this out here?"
Well, when you live as long as an ancient old gnarled thing like myself, finding relatives is not hard. And he actually sets his those almost like gunmetal blue eyes on Ukian as he says such thing.
It's a bit of a wave of surprise kind of washes in my face before I then try and repress that and smile.
I was able to pay,
not understanding what he meant by that at all. Yeah.
I was able to pay respects at the great temple of Oarthios. Everything is well, and nothing is out of sorts.
That is good news. Good news. Good news. Would you? It is late now. You must be tired. Perhaps you would wish to speak in the morning of what we have found. We have much to say, but I do not wish to trouble you. You must be tired.
He picks a spot nearby, probably
Please,
close
my
to
lord,
Halther.
I can. May I offer you my bedroll? I can flip it, and you may rest easily. I'm sure we have something else.
I only share my bed with women.
No,
thank
no,
you,
my lord.
but...
I do not mean that. I would sleep elsewhere. I would be fine.
You will sleep where you usually sleep. I have my own bed.
The firelight is occluded. Just
does he? Or is he just like? Does he have his own pack and stuff? Or
he does. He's actually traveling on foot by himself. Yeah, he is perfectly dressed like an adventurer, just like you guys.
Right. Good. Yeah. I thought he just came in like a robe. He's like, "What's up?"
No, he's been on the road for some time now. Yeah, no.
In that case, I'll probably won't.
It's not like the Pope rocking up on your.
Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
No.
I mean, we could see it.
Like, okay, you're sleeping. You don't sleep on the ground. I mean, for fuck's sake, you're the Pope.
Beautiful. No. It's not like that. So he actually picks a flat, dry part of the campsite. It's actually quite adjacent to Halther. He goes, "Do you mind?"
Not at all. He reaches across the fire and picks up the pot. I would offer you food, but he looks at Ukian and he sets it down next to the fire.
We have some cold food if you wish.
Oh, was that breakfast? Oh, shame, Ukian. You've dropped it on the floor. Shame.
Is there any fish in there?
It's just some mushrooms that I picked earlier. It's fine. I can give it a wash later.
Halther looks at it, dips his finger into it. Not anymore. Puts it down.
Oh, I feel young again, Matt. I feel
Oh,
more, how, 4,000 cycles,
hmm,
which is astronomically old for you guys. I
yeah.
feels I haven't slept under the stars and the trees. And he actually gets himself down and like comfortable and just like he's completely beside himself, like sleeping amongst like traveling companions.
Mm,
How well is he
He's like a
dressed?
12-year-old on a camping trip.
Basically.
Yeah. How well is he dressed? Is he dressed? Is he dressed well for traveling, or is it more like dressed like someone who has not been out in the woods in a very long time, forgets what you got to wear?
He is expertly equipped with things that he needs. However, in the embers, you do see that orichalcum coat under his traveling shirt, kind of like dance that fire pattern, that almost liquid gold orange color underneath there. So he's not slumming it.
Gotcha. Okay. Halthier nods, and he'll sort of lean back and lay back on his pack again, take another swig out of his wine skin. I mean, he offers it just sort of half, half around to anybody that wants a swig.
It probably makes it what, 2 passes now, and we all go to bed.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
an ogre
it is
skin. It can go around like 6 more times.
well,
and then be
it
half
also is a
empty.
it's a very interesting wine. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, okay.
So it's his dad's old wine skin.
Oh,
He finishes
oh
it, taps
my.
it, and
Oh,
great.
Beautiful.
he was effectively given that stuff almost from birth. So
Nice.
I'm sure it's pretty strong as well. So it's like
Oh, yeah.
ogre wine is something like
It has,
something
well-
it's pretty distilled, let's say.
that's what yeah, he'll say, yeah, that's it. It's the
Yeah,
ogre
no,
wine.
it's totally distilled. Yeah, yeah. So the night passes as eventfully as it can with the presence of a saint. You guys wake up with the morning birds, probably as dawn is making that first blush on the horizon. And the Lord Saint himself is out doing his morning ablutions in a stream nearby. Let's have a scene between everyone here.
Requisition. That's a word. Requisition.
Yes.
Requisition the aid of Silmanas, as he is. I've known him to be quite a little bit picky of an eater, and I will requisition his aid in order to prepare a fine meal for our new guest, as I am not confident in my own cooking skills to cook for a lord. So I will definitely have the expert eye of Silmanas to help me, whether he likes it or not. I will be insistent.
Picky. Simonos is like the opposite of picky when it comes to food. You just say picky
You're
because he
helping.
likes meat and you don't. It's okay. Just say how you actually feel. No, Simonos will definitely go and help you. I can make another roll. Provisioning, outfitter, wild lore, whatever you need.
Provisioning will be cooking wild lore first, and then see if he can cook what you catch.
All right, give me a second here.
Yeah, there we go. Meanwhile, I wonder what Hathi is doing.
23 on the wild lore.
Actually, that's really good here. Thanks to Halthair, this woodland is actually it's actually teeming with game here. So actually, you can bring back 3 cock pheasants. Hang on here. I did see that, Keith. Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna say a damn thing either. No. With that, with 3 cock pheasants, you can actually bring back a rather very nice breakfast with with potatoes, fish left over from last night, mushrooms, cabbage, that sort of thing. Get yourself cooked up. But yeah, no, go for provisioning if you if you'd
22
like.
on provisioning.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, no. You can cook for a king and it's
Yeah,
fine.
wow.
You don't have all of the equipment of a royal kitchen, but this is pretty damn good despite it. And Felsong is actually just quite literally overjoyed that he's eating something. He says, "I'm eating mortal food. One of the first times since I've awoken," and he just just kind of fucking stuffs himself is what he does. Being he doesn't actually explain this, but you can imagine that being a tree for so long has ways to work on the hunger and the appetite once you come back to the realm of mortals.
Perhaps
But
Philsong may notice, but I do not bring up, no, at least not this stage. I don't bring up Shihan. But perhaps Philsong may notice that he's not among our kind. I think last time he saw that he was still alive.
yeah,
Last time we met.
he left the day before Shihan passed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's at that point, thank you, John. I'm jumping the shark on me. That Felsong looks up from the rock that he's sitting on. He says, "So, the Red Blade, is he out scouting the road ahead as the gallant young intrepid that he is? We were supposed to finish our singing lesson. Where is he? Damn his bones."
I didn't say anything for a moment.
Gentlemen,
Halfir looks at him and tips his head and says, "You knew Shihan as well?"
only in brief.
Well,
Shihan
Shihan
Red
did get
Blade.
around quite a bit then. He sits back and he ruminates. He looks over at Ukion.
Shihan the Red Blade had fallen. We were attacked by Endukaga's enchantments, witchcraft, sorcery in the night. The very same night that we saw you. I was bewitched by Endukaga's spell. Shihan as well. We mistook each other for the enemy that we hunt. As we fought, I slew him, for I was not of my mind. He is dead.
The saint grows quite quiet at those words, but
This one,
He's-
Halthir, is family of Shihan. And so he's accompanying us on this journey for this oracle to find more of this sorcerer. And afterwards, when our business is done with the sorcerer, I will then atone for what I have done.
so you and Shihan you were ensorcelled by the enemy, and
I know not
you were
quite what happened.
tricked into slaying a companion.
I know not quite what happened. Perhaps Silmanos may have a better idea, perhaps after this time. But I know that there was sorcery in that. Perhaps it was to do with this like crystal, red, like blood, that we found on one of the primordials that had attacked your grove. We had taken it, believing that it could lead us to Kaga, and like foolish sheep, we fell under his sway. I fell under his sway.
The saint gets really, very kind of rigid at this and says, "Who else knows of this?" Is it just us?
I just look up and look at the others.
As far as I know.
Old man Loom knows of the event, but I don't know if he knows of the details.
That's right. Loom may know.
I don't think that Loom will speak of this. But if word gets out, your errand, Ukion, does not need you also being branded a kinslayer. So you must all swear to keep this to yourselves. These are interesting and very dark times.
The only person I will tell is my father. He deserves to know. But
Well,
beyond that, I see no reason for anyone else to know.
this is a strange errand, and we might have to deal with uncouth things and be subject to even more unclean acts.
Lord Felsong, you mentioned you were in Tunea recently.
I was there before I came to see you again.
Do you know if the Astromancer dwells in the city? Or perhaps
Not in
is
the
he
city.
abroad?
He has not been in the city since I was a child. He does send his blessings to our company. Excuse me, to your company. I have not requested my or you take me on under your command, Captain
No, of
Ukion
course.
of Tunelith.
I meant, my lord, apologies. I meant, my lord, if you had met the Astromancer and perhaps had counseled him, or perhaps he knows something of this of this sorcerer.
I did mention what I knew to him, and he is looking for what connections there may be. He's turned his starry lensed eyes towards the inner world. So rest assured, you have the best eyes of the Fae this side of the realm of the fairy, looking in that direction.
About that moment,
yep.
At that moment, Halther sort of gets a puzzled look on his face, and he says, Felsong. Father told me a story about you.
Oh, which one?
Oh, apparently, I guess it was a story that Uncle Shihan had told him about. I guess him and his cousin having played in a grove where your tomb was.
Yes.
That's,
They used to play hide and seek where they absolutely should not be.
How did pardon me for asking, but it seems that over the past few days I have heard tale of many things that I thought were dead not being dead anymore. Yourself, this Indukaga that my uncle Shihan slew many chains ago, and well, cycles even, and just are the dead rising?
No, not to my knowledge.
Hmm.
I was sleeping. I was not dead.
Oh, well, I suppose I don't have heard people say they slept to sleep with the dead, so I can see. But okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. He goes back. He sort of just starts stroking his beard and a pondering sort of look. He's gripping his pouch as he's doing that.
Ukion, there's been a question that has been burning in my mind since we met. Who is your father? What's his name?
My father.
Yes.
I lean back. I sort of like look a bit embarrassed, and even a little bit at shock for a moment.
There's no need to hold back. You're among friends here. Who is he?
I apologies, my lord. I do wish to keep it quiet. It's
All right, all right,
sensitive.
all right. Well, that's how about this? Who is your grandfather?
I kind of look a bit like a really hesitant. My father's name was Zagarian.
And his father's name, your grandfather?
Lugaris.
All right. And his father. It's at this point you see
Melwan.
the what? Say what again? Say it again.
My great grandfather's name was Melwan.
Do you remember ever meeting your great grandfather? Was he around? Did he ever
not-
speak to you about anyone
I
that
knew him. I knew him when I was very little. There was one as one could know somebody at such a young age. It was not long before, well, he had left. I do have some memories. Why, if I may ask?
Melwan is my nephew. My sister's eldest.
Melwan. In the house of Arathius in Tuneowith
Yes.
is your nephew.
Yes.
I see. That's
I
surprising, my
saw
lord.
when I came back from my sleeping, I saw this the way you walked, and I said that seems very familiar to me, but I didn't want to ask because I was not presentable at the time. You and I are related. Actually, smiles very widely at you at that point.
Yes. We surely, yes, it's a distant relation, and we are all children of Arathius, of course. But I'm taken aback, my lord. Interesting. I never knew that. This was never known among my family at all.
Hmm.
At least nobody told me. My father did not tell me.
You go back far enough, thousands and thousands of cycles. History and who is related to whom is lost, at least in the minds of mortals, and we just simply default to calling everyone cousin.
Yes, as is our way.
But yes, that makes me your uncle. Great. 5 times over, uncle.
I believe so. I would have to perhaps look over the family tree, but
Nevertheless, it
suppose
is good to
yes.
see you again, nephew.
Uh,
Shall we be off?
yes, my lord. Thank you. That is fascinating to know. Thank you. I look really taken aback.
And
By
he's
this.
just he's very like, you're back here stunned going, holy shit,
Stunned, yeah.
I'm related to Pope John Paul V. And he's like, yeah, no, this is my sister's name. Yeah, no, that's how that works. like it's just another day at the office for him.
Yeah. I suppose there must be many who are family to your line. Families can be quite large in Tenewith.
Well, I do not have children. I've never married.
Oh, well, I suppose through distant relations.
Possibly, I have been
brothers,
adopted by
sisters.
many of the high kings and lesser kings in ancestry and indeed throughout most of our people's history.
It's fascinating. I
But why, as the more pressing matter, why are we here in this woodland? Where are we off to?
Of course. Yes. Our purpose is we're hunting or searching. I should use that term. That's the correct one. A half nymph oracle who was said to live in around these parts, by the name of Tulara. She has been invading our efforts to locate her, and
She's
perhaps for
around here
good
somewhere.
reason. Yes, for good
Somewhere.
reason, perhaps. The nearby township of, or small city, I should say, of Hawthorne is a place that does not tolerate witches among their ranks. We had walked into the town about a chain's worth ago, where they had burned an Arborian but to the stake in this execution, savage custom of the people here. We believe that this is perhaps the reason why that she has hidden herself, and perhaps rightfully so. We're searching for her to find answers and a lead as to where we can find our next clue that can take us to our quarry.
Well, let's be on with it then, shall we?
Yes, I shall get packed. Are we ready to go soon? I say
Ready to go
Ian.
now. As
Now.
Altair stands up and he's got his pack shouldered and he's been over messing with the horses while you guys have been talking. So getting the
Very
horses
good.
ready to go.
I'll quickly don my armor and we shall be
I
off.
do not need a steed. I shall walk.
Man after my own heart, Altair says.
I do so enjoy walking.
Oh, I
Pass
know.
the time quite beautifully doing this.
It was quite relaxing. Keeps me awake. I don't see how these fellows who sit on top of these beasts can stay awake. I mean, sitting all day I would fall asleep.
We have work to do. We don't need to be napping.
Mhm.
Now, back on the road, this forest road. It's an overgrown,
Yeah,
but
path.
still a well maintained deer path. We find ourselves in a glade that has a small hovel in it towards the back of it, almost half built into the side of a mound, or kind of a hillock. There's what would pass as a front yard here that has a series of standing stones carved with these strange runes. You're not familiar with any alphabets, any of this. Even the mystics and magicians of the party are not familiar with these symbols. But there is a flickering candlelight within. Halther, you are not going to fit inside that building. He just looked, no, I'm not getting in there.
He'll look at the other ones and say, "I'll stay with the horses," and he'll take their reins.
Felsong actually elects to stay out with Halther to give him company and mind the horses.
I look at Haraka and Silmanos. This looks promising.
Follow your lead, Captain. He loosens his sword in its scabbard, just in case.
You don't need to be so formal, Haraka.
This is your company.
Lucan is just fine. Lucan is just fine.
If you wish.
Thank you. I take off, I dismount from the horse or something, and I begin to with the others, I slowly approach and slowly approach, not in any hurry. I don't want to give off any sort of aggressive stance. As we approach the hovel.
Who knocks? How do you proceed?
I look at the door and I assume there's some sort of wooden door, right? Yeah.
There is a wooden door. It's
Yep.
it's got a well oxidized and well rusted bronze fastening.
So I look over at someone else, look back at Haraka, and just with the butt end of the pole arm I have, which is currently in its sleeve, I just lightly tap the door 3 times, and then stand back a good, let's say a good 10 feet from the door, or even 12 feet, just enough space so that I can run away if there's something bad.
Halfdir leans over and says, I think he's afraid something's going to come flying out of there.
I'm assuming you're speaking to the saint.
Yes. Leaning on his club.
I don't know. It's Ukion seems
timid.
Yes.
A bit afraid, I think.
Yeah. Excellent word. Yes. He actually pats the pillar that is your leg.
Ogres are good with words sometimes.
Yes.
And he sort of leans forward on his club and watches this play out.
Is that what you are? As an ogre?
Yes.
When I was alive, there was no such thing as you.
Oh, really?
No, there was no ogres. Giants, yes, but I don't know, you're just a
I whisper on my breath with the other two, like,
Aw.
by Rothias, those two are so loud. As they're gabbering in the back, in the background. Their voices are trailing.
That conversation fades, but the party just hears this very demure, very soft, "You may come in," from within. Clearly a female voice.
The door does not open. It's just a voice just comes from the door.
Yeah, it's a murmur.
Okay. I look at Silmanas, and I look clearly hesitant.
I'll go first. And he's actually walking with like the whole like fingers together, pendant monk type thing, and he'll go up to the door and with one hand he'll put his palm against it. I'm assuming it pushes in then. Or it actually pulls out.
You it's got a door handle, but you gotta latch it and
oh, okay. So it actually is a push down and okay.
Yep.
Yeah. He'll do that. He'll do it. I don't want to say slow, but very much
deliberate.
Measured. Yes, measured, deliberate pace.
Yep.
As well as will give the others behind him time to react if something does happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be behind Silmanas.
No. He'll push it open, and as soon as he lets it go, his hand will go back with the other. And he'll wait till it actually opens and he can see inside, and he will walk fully inside.
Yeah, it's pretty dark in there, but there is a figure sitting in a chair, facing the firelight, facing the small fireplace. It was the smoke from the chimney that's actually drew you here a few hours ago, but the door closes behind the three of you, and you see in there at least the profile of this young woman. She's a Nemersian woman. However, her freckles, the distinct Nemersian freckles, are actually quite subdued here. Her ears are slightly longer, as she clearly has a dash of at least a little bit of Fey in her. Her angular features actually make her very pretty. And her voice is very soft and very like girlish and kind of like a cute way. She's very
Very
uh,
gentle.
yes, very gentle. But she goes, what can I do for you three gentlemen? I don't get to see visitors very often. Well, you can sit down and have some tea if you like.
Thank you for your hospitality. My name is Ukian of Tunea with. This is Silmanas of the Silent Monolith and Haraka of.
Same to know
Yes.
with.
Sorry for disturbing your peace. We have come searching for one who is known as Tulara, the Oracle.
I am she.
We've come
I guess
seeking your
it's not
counsel.
just a simple palm reading is what you require of me.
No, we seek your counsel. And I kind of look over at Silmanas as just kind of like, you say something. When he doesn't say anything, I say, yes. Thank you for your hospitality. We have two of our companions outside waiting with the horses. Thank you for your hospitality. As I sort of walk in, just sort of slowly and cautiously. I do keep my pole arm with myself, but I just use it as a staff or a walking stick. I don't.
You have a very hard time
fitting it in.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
ceiling's way too low. You would not be able to
Really
use
low,
this
yeah.
thing in the fight. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, I'll leave it I'll leave it by the door then, and I'll
Okay.
just stroll in, respectfully as I sort of approach. And I think she gestured towards on some seats or something.
Yeah, there's some seats nearby on her left-hand side. You've only seen the light touch like that left-hand part of her. It's pretty dark in here.
Yeah.
But she goes, what is it that you wish that needs from my counsel? I've not been a counselor to many in quite some time.
You are known in this region, quite famous for your sight, your ability to see things that cannot usually be seen. We seek the gifts of your sight.
No one's said those such kind things to me in a very long time. But I suppose that I could.
We are not locals of the nearby township of Hawthorne. We are travelers from far away, as perhaps you may be able to tell by our strange garments.
She turns her head ever so slightly towards you. Mm-hmm. She's still pretty half hidden in the darkness there, but there's a slight turning to recognize, to turn her or to look her gaze upon you. But who else sits?
Silmanas does not.
Okay. Haraka just kind of looks at you kind of under his breath. He goes, "You're not going to take a seat."
So I sit down.
Haraka
my arm creaking in the chair.
Sit down in a seat that's just next to Ukian, but still within like arm's reach of Silmanas if he needs to be.
As you get sort of comfortable, kind of my eyes, trying to adjust my eyes to the light in here, trying to really study this figure, trying to get a good look at this person, and sort of my surroundings. But as I'm sort of talking, I will say, we're on the search for something that is causing this. No doubt you are well aware of this stagnation of autumn that has been burdening the world. We're hunting for the one responsible for this and for many other crimes and for much sorrow.
What is it that you wish me to do?
There is a name of the thing that we hunt. Its name is Endu Kaga.
Oh, damn. Okay.
It is a primordial red devil sorcerer. It is responsible for many crimes, one of which is the slaying of the King of Autumn, a court that I belong to, a court I serve. We are seeking knowledge or sight of his whereabouts or the whereabouts of his servants. They are also primordials like him, roving bands of warriors from faraway lands, dressed in ebony and wielding bows and arrows fashioned from the same material, this blackened material.
Do you have any of their fell accoutrements that I can scry upon?
And I do produce one of the recovered arrows and arrowheads from that battle that has been kept, and I it's kind of like a broken arrow tip, and I place it, or I hand it to her. As I sort of step closer to her, I sort of try and get a better look at her. See, she sort of, you kind of get a bit of a closer description as I kind of walk quite close to her to see, hand this to her, but also see a little bit more.
How close do you get to her?
I guess enough. I have to get close enough to be able to hand her something. So, maybe
Within arm's
3
reach?
feet. Arm's reach, 3 feet, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, all right. She, still sitting in her chair, turns to where the right side of her face is caught by the firelight, and it's just black.
Mm-hmm.
And she holds out a hand that she probably taken the broken shafts with their ebon arrowheads and placed them in her hand. And she's got long as shit, almost like clawed fingernails, and her skin looks like a night sky without stars. She doesn't have any definition in her skin. She doesn't have like the fingerprint pattern of that. Her corruption is so advanced that you can just, at least someone else can understand, it's probably not, it's not just her fingernails, it's not just her hands, it's probably all the way up her damn arm underneath her sleeve, and one side of her face is just black with like this ink. The eye is no longer there, but a pinprick of blue witch fire is there, and her hair, when it gets caught by that shock of that fire from the fireplace, she's got like it's kind of like pinpricks of silver, like her hair is the night sky with stars. And you now see, ladies and gentlemen, that's what void sickness looks like. That
Yeah.
she is, if she is not already a being of the darkness, she is well on her way to losing herself to it.
So I hesitate and stop. And
Oh, it's
midway of
fucking
reaching over.
horrifying to you.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
gonna need corruption
That's what-
tests right now, actually.
Okay.
Is that including Silmanos?
That's everybody who sees her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corruption test is what again?
It's level spirit 2d8. It's your spirit modifier, your level, plus the die.
$28.
Okay.
That was gonna be 20.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, as much as the horror of looking at her countenance is taxing upon you, you're actually able to muscle through it. But yeah, no, she
I
is.
hand it to her quickly. I drop it in her hand as she stretches with it quickly, and then I sort of take a few steps back as I feel that presence sort of waft and quickly move back. It's a bit pale now, a nervous cold sweat running down my back as I silently sort of try to calm myself from the seeping dread of this encounter, but I stay quiet and listen.
She takes these and says, I'm not familiar with this metal.
I believe it's called ebon.
I've seen ebon before, but this is different. This is odd. Ebon does not glitter. This does.
Something else then. That's good. Perhaps it's rare. Could this be useful to find this? First of all, what would be your price for this? I would know this now.
She turns that witchfire eye on you when you talk about price.
I know how these things go.
All right. I'm going to need a finger.
A finger.
Anyone's finger will do.
I see. Anyone's finger would do.
Silmanos walks up.
Wait. As he sort of like walk up.
Any finger.
Do you have a preference?
Whichever one you're willing to lose.
Someone's, perhaps there is somewhere else we may get this.
Does it have to be from one of the three of us here right now?
I don't think you're going to ask the ogre to give up one of his 6. He has so
Ukian,
few as is.
Ukian, do you want this done or not?
We could find something else out there, perhaps some sort of goblin or something Any finger would suffice.
I don't think you have time to go searching for a goblin when they have been massing in their warrens far from here.
I just
Left
look
ring
at
finger is
Solomon.
what he will present to her.
She points with that clawed fucking finger, excuse me. She points to a cutting board that's got a cleaver on it.
I'm going to do a self-control check on Silmanos real quick.
I'll do it, but once presented with it, I don't know if I want to do it anymore.
Oh no, he's prepared to do it. It's just to see if that whole self-preservation is going to happen, or if he just goes scream his head off over it.
Oh yeah.
$25.
Wow.
And then he's actually going to walk over. Okay. To basically center myself to do this without screaming, you think that would be another self-control? You think that would actually be more of a meditation?
Centering yourself is meditation.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, basically he's going to look at it, he's going to put his finger down, he's going to do the whole deep breath thing, and then just
There you go.
got 23 on that one.
Oh, damn. All right. Roll a d8. That's kind of the vitality damage you take. But yeah, no, when you chop your oh shit, one vitality, nice. Yeah, you lop your finger off, man. Muscle through it. I mean, if you want to do the soliloquy there, you're perfectly welcome to.
He has been, the reason why he's been so quiet, one is he knew of the darkness that they were facing because he remembered the stories, but two, ever since the rebirth, as it were, he's just been very quiet in general. So when he went to do this, like I said, he said she wanted a finger. Silmanos said, we gotta get this crap done. She pointed to the cleaver. Yeah, he literally looked at her, looked at Ukion, looked at Haraka, looked back at her, stepped to the cutting board, put his finger down, took probably like 3 deep breaths, and on the third one, he just went whoosh.
Yep.
He didn't even do that, but it was like that whole,
No.
like, you saw his body tense. It was like if you were right there, you would hear the hiss between his teeth. I'm assuming he's facing away from them at the cutting
Probably.
board, right?
Probably.
Okay.
It's pretty dark in there, so you're probably not looking at his face.
You probably couldn't tell because of how dark it is, but he get that whole like full body shiver from him holding everything in. And he'd be holding the cleaver, and he actually would leave it embedded in the cutting board. And he let go. He looked at his finger and he looked at his hand, and it wouldn't register for a second. Like, he knows he did it. He knows he did it, but it still doesn't register until he actually brings his hand away. And then when he'll hold it up, like turn to her and hold it up. And then when that first like spurt of blood comes out as the shock hits in, is when he'll actually grab a bandage, wrap it up, and then that's when we see him like start to like actually shake.
I'll put my
because of the
hand on
pain shock
Haraka's shoulder. I
happens.
say, Haraka, please get back and get us a apothecary's kit quickly from the packs.
He about ready springs out of his sandals there, but he passes Silmanos and Talara, says, all right, now get out. I have work to do. Leave the finger there. Come back at sunset.
Yeah, someone else walks out. Surprisingly, still as silent as when he walked in.
As he comes out holding his hand all wrapped up, Halther's going to look at him and sort of raise an eyebrow and say, I guess it was dangerous in there. Are you okay, my friend?
I'm the last to leave as I close the door behind me and
Proper number.
just, yeah, kind of a ghost face on the countenance of, I guess, the people inside. Solomon asked from the loss of blood, and Haraka and Ukin from the
ordeal of it.
fear, from the sheer fear. Yeah, just shaking our heads.
Like, oh, shit. We've seen some shit. If we had tobacco, we'd light up.
I reach for it. We do have tobacco in a pipe. That's actually in
Do
the
we?
Someone else
Oh,
has
that's
his
right,
pipe,
quartermaster.
actually. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, where do you guys wish to actually camp? Probably go back to where you did beforehand, because it's actually evening now. Till you come
She
back
told
at
us to go
sunset.
back at
That's
sunset.
Just
yeah,
look around.
sunset the next day.
Sunset next day.
Look for a place nearby, I would assume.
Okay.
I mean, she has this wide open area here in front of her place. I mean, you say there's a mound there, like there's like a mound at one end of this clearing.
Her home is kind of like built into it, like it's some
Okay.
partly underground.
Okay.
Almost think like a hobbit hole, but not.
So, is there like a sheltered place off to one side of the entrance where you could like build a little campfire and have the wind, like the mound as a windbreak?
Yeah, you could do that.
Probably would. Yeah, that's what Halther is going to suggest. He's right
Is
over
there
there.
a running stream or a running river nearby?
Oh, yeah, within walking distance.
Okay. I will mention perhaps we should go by the river, the running waters, just to be safe.
Yeah, just a little distance then. Sure, sounds good. You could have
I
some
believe
more
it will be
fish.
for the best.
Fish.
Yes. And the river may be of some comfort.
As you are bedding down for that evening, we'll just kind of fast forward through the evolutions of the night. Strange sounds and odd lights come from this hovel, somewhat subterranean hovel. You hear like the crying of a baby at one point, the laughter of a hag, the cawing of many ravens, the cooing of morning doves, strange roaring flames of many colors here, and this goes all throughout the night. Like you have trouble sleeping within. You're
Oh, I definitely don't sleep. Are you kidding me? That's
I
so
know.
dumb. Such a dumb idea.
Just because he's this way, Halther is going to tell them the story of what his father told him about, with all that craziness going on up there and the weird noises and such, and the light reflecting off the water. He thinks of the stories his father told him about the thing that washed the clothing of the dead in the rivers.
Oh,
And
oh no!
how this whole thing reminds him of that whole story of that.
The washerwoman. Oh, I wish Grant were here. Oh, Grant, I miss you. But
man.
no, if you sleep, it is fitful. It is not good sleep. If you don't sleep, you rise the next day just beat. It's almost as if this ritual that she was weaving was pulling the energy out of everything nearby. It seems like the plants have all like pulled diagonally towards
Hmm.
this hovel in a way. Maybe it's just a trick of the wind. Maybe it's just a trick of the eye, and it's a forest, and they're
As if
fey.
everything has been scraped towards it. Scraped.
It's seemingly so, yes. Makes you really uncomfortable.
Yeah. I try and can, if we're not on the ready, I'll try and move our camp to the other side of the stream or the small river. Just to, so we have the barrier of the river between us and this hut or this hovel. Just maybe as that may aid. Are there sounds or lights coming from during the day as the dawn rises?
No, actually, as it seems like that first blush of dawn on the rim of the world there, like punctuates the end of her ritual.
Yeah, and probably that's when tiredness will just overcome, and that's probably when we're trying to get some sleep. So I'll probably sleep a little bit in the morning during the day when it seems to be safer.
Okay. But as you're going about, you doze and sleep when you can, you reconnoiter to that hovel. She actually will meet you after the sun has kind of like set behind the mountains there. So she's not in direct sunlight, mind you. She'll open her front door and she'll be kind of like standing in the threshold, and that black clawed hand will have this we'll have like this clay earthen jar that's got kind of like script around it, almost like ancient pottery will have certain designs about it. And it'll be glazed in strange patterns, and you don't really know what the dots actually mean yet, but it seems like a star constellation. You don't know what the hell it makes though. It's an probably an unknowable pattern on there. Just maybe it looks just like a sigil, maybe it's a constellation, not quite. But she reaches this clawed fucking hand out holding this little jar, and
I definitely ask,
specifically,
like, what is this?
Who is there to take it from her? Which of the company?
Someone else will be there.
Yeah. I will step forward as if to take it, but first beforehand, and as we sort of gather a little bit, and maybe about 6 feet or 20 or 12 feet away from each other, as she's stepping forward with this thing in her hand, I will ask, what is this you carry? What is this?
It's what you've purchased.
What does it mean? A jar. I see some inscriptions on it. Would this be able to...
She holds it out to you. Take it.
And I step forward a few feet again, but then I say, and you will not say what it is before I take it?
No.
I turn and look at Salmanak and the others. And farewell. I step forward slowly, very slowly, and I will reach out with my left arm, my left hand. This small jar, is this hand size, fit inside the palm of your hand, or is it like large?
It's
hands?
about this.
About a cup.
Maybe
okay.
like the size of a tumbler.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. So I will carefully take it without making contact with the person itself.
Good job.
Definitely.
You take it. You look into the cup.
I will actually, before I look into it, I will take a few steps back from the person, and then I would take.
Jono, come on!
I would just so we're clear, about the order. This is important.
You.
That's at least what I intend to do.
Do you not trust me?
No,
narrator.
Unless
you don't.
Unless like something like pulls me in, and I have to look at it, which I'm happy to. Like it's just like I'm just telling you.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I broke character there. uh,
So I
no,
step back
you
and
take
I
it.
look at this.
You're very not gonna make sure you're not gonna touch her.
Yeah,
You take a few steps back and then look at the contents of the cup.
that's right.
Okay, when you do that, she takes a step back into her hovel there and slams the door.
Because that's not foreboding.
And she locks it
And I feel
3
tremendous relief.
times.
I feel tremendous relief, and then I hear the clicks, the 3 clicks. Then
Click,
I immediately
click,
get
click.
scared.
I immediately say, Haraka, I told you were dressed wrong for this.
He says, I will from now on, this day forward, swear to listen to you when you give me fashion advice.
I feel
That
the
is my
need
oath
to
to you.
involve everybody in this. If I'm going to get cursed into oblivion, then I want
You're
I
gonna
want us
share it?
all I want us all to enjoy that experience. So I will take the cup to the gathering, and I will kind of hold it out, and I will show everybody and look inside and see what this is. So
Lean over.
I will invite everybody to inspect this thing together.
Okay.
Oh, Felsong won't. He'll actually. You come up to him. He actually puts his hand on his sword. And he's like, you may be family, but I'll kill you where you stand.
It's better been worth
So
losing a finger over.
anybody who is not going to kill me, I will invite them to have a look at this thing. So what is this? What is this thing?
It is a cup with it's an earthenware cup that has a kind of well, it's got a red stripe around the rim. Underneath that, it has a blue stripe underneath the red one, and designs and patterns around the sides of the cup. Inside the cup is Silmanas' finger floating in what looks like watery and egg yolky consistency with the color of pus. And it is pointing rigidly in a specific direction, actually over Ukion's right-hand shoulder.
So as I have been moving a little bit with this,
It'll actually
start
turn
to notice that
to
it
stay
turns
in the direction of.
And I am freaked out by this. I will look at Solmanak and I'll ask him, this is your finger, Solmanas. Would you like to hold on to it?
No, you're fine. But you wanted directions.
We have a direction. It seems this finger points no matter which direction I turn. I've never seen anything like this.
That does seem to suggest that that's the direction we need to go, I would assume.
But Haraka puts in, but what does it point towards?
I do not know.
Perhaps you should ask the witch before we leave.
What did you ask her for?
I asked her to find, we were searching for this one called Endukaga, that's the sorcerer. And she asked for a finger, and then Solmanas gave her his finger, and now we have this. That is all I know. I suppose this points towards him.
No, is what Haraka says. He's just.
Well, it doesn't point north.
No, I suppose not. I kind of look up at the sun and kind of
Traveling
judge the
check
direction.
to see if it does.
Sure.
That's a 14.
It does not point what would be
Yeah.
Arklanar's
Rim-
magnetic north. It doesn't
Yeah.
point towards the center of the world.
It's centralward. Yeah. Okay. Yep. It doesn't do that.
Well, we have what we've come for, it seems.
Are you sure
No,
that are you
truly, I'm not
certain
sure.
that she did not give us a finger? He puts his hand on Silmanos' shoulder, his sleeve. She did not give us a finger that points to the sorcerer. She would kill us if that was the case.
You mean doesn't point
I
to
just rub
him?
my eyebrows, my eyes.
What else did
and-
you add? Could you possibly have asked for?
You gave you gave her arrowheads.
Hmm.
Did the sorcerer, when you found him, he actually turns to Silmanos, you saw him in the swamp with that tree. Did he use arrowheads? Did he use arrow? Did he wield a bow? Are those his arrows?
No, when I saw him in the swamp, he was not using a bow.
Whom do these arrows belong to?
Likely his warriors. Therefore, it must seem that. I suppose I understand what you're getting at. These primordials, this thing may point towards his servants. Well, fair enough. That's at least a direction.
Get to the servants can get you to him.
If we can beat the answers out of his servants to find his location, that should be our next step.
I can help with that.
With that
Regardless,
tree,
his
of course
knuckles.
you can. Yes.
regardless, it's a lead that we finally have after so long.
Well,
I
gentlemen.
am untrusting of sorcerers that are not our own people. He specifically looks at Silmanos at the yes, I am untrusting of mortal sorcerers. I'm gonna
Silmanos, is there any way you could divine whether this is true, or if this isn't some sort of trick?
we could ask the witch herself.
I will not ask her. I'm
Why
not
we
going
came to
meet
her to begin
again.
with, because I do not have that type of power.
I understand. I will not ask her, Haraka. If you wish to risk your soul in contacting, in asking her yourself, you may. I will not. I will not
Oh,
carry
but-
and burden us with a shadow
Oh.
sickness.
Halthir sighs, just walks over toward the door, lays down, gets right up against the door, takes one finger and goes thump, thump, thump. Ma'am, I have a question to ask you.
What is it? That very adorably demure, gentle voice comes back.
My friend is confused about what the device points to. Is it the owner of what you gave him, or what he gave you, or something else?
We're so dead.
You hear an audible sigh. And then the door unlocks 3 times again, and it cracks open. And you see like the normal skin. She's actually very pretty on that
Mm.
side of her face. She peeks her head around the door there. She says that the finger points to his servants.
Ah,
The one you seek is a primordial named Ahum.
Oh, thank you very much, ma'am. His
He
name's
resides
Ahum.
within the gold mine that is within the Suncrest Valley.
Huh. Oh,
He
the
and
gold
his
mine.
goblins that he's conquered and enslaved are mining and felling the forest there and doing all manner of mischief in hopes to secretly create a force down here in the outer realm.
Huh. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm sorry I had to disturb you there. My friends were confused. Thank you.
When the one who asks this, what's his name?
He looks back. He starts to say that he looks back and looks at Ukion and very pointedly, like,
Ukion, I say really quietly.
What was that? I did not hear you.
We have received everything we need. Thank you. We will be on our way.
He's so rude.
yes, he fancies himself a captain. Good day.
Ukion, tell her your damn name.
I just turn and leave. I start walking away. I lead back to the camp.
Okay.
As the door closes, she's like, I'm gonna hex his ass. And she fucking closes the door and it locks 3 times again. Halthir's the only one who hears about the hexing, mind you.
He just sort of shakes his head and he turns around and says, I have so much to teach you about being polite. You could have just given her a fake name, you know.
And when Halthir comes back to us, Haraka says, well, what is the nature of this finger, this pointing finger?
It points to a servant.
A servant of the sorcerer.
Yes.
Will it do so forever?
Well, I didn't ask that, but I'm not going back and knocking on the door because she's already annoyed. She's already sworn to hex him, points at Ukion.
Oh, she's gonna hex him?
That's what she said.
Oh. Is that all because Ukion didn't want to tell her name?
I think it's more because of the fact that he turned his back on her and walked off while she was having a conversation. So,
Captain,
yes.
you see, this is why
I'm on the
you
other
don't
side of the
have
river,
women.
gathering my things.
He's yelling at you. This is why you're
Yeah,
low.
we're following you. Yes.
See, when you do finally look up from your things, the saint is there giving you a very disapproving, familial look.
Are we ready to leave, my lord?
I am.
I'm ready to leave as well. Yes.
There is a young woman who is deserving of an apology.
What do you speak of? An apology? We have done our business and gone. I have already given her my name earlier. If she doesn't wish to remember, then that's fine. I do not need to be giving my names to sorceresses and witches in the countryside.
Nevertheless, I will teach you how to be a gallant by the end of this adventure. I will go apologize to her on your behalf then. I will meet you on the road later.
Halthir says, oh, by the way, when you do, ask her what that lieutenant's name was. I forgot.
Wait, Lord.
Perhaps
Felson,
the season of autumn is also having a sort of sorcery of forgetfulness. All right.
Wait, Felson, wait. Did I truly commit some sort of transgression here?
You
know
were
more than
addressed
me.
by a woman, and you walked away.
A woman?
I just a woman. His hand comes up to slap you. He fucking
Have you-
stops.
You have not gotten close to her, my lord. If you'd had and seen her, perhaps you may know, you may take those words back.
At that, Silmanos looked at him with the death glare.
Halther says she looked quite fetching from what I could see.
I just
Perhaps
looked at
she
you
is,
out of
instead of your
disbelief.
scorn, perhaps she is deserving of your pity and your respect, and perhaps even in that icy heart of yours, you act more like the winter than you do of the autumn. He actually indicates Silmanos, icy and wretched and cold. Be kind. And Silmanos is more kind and giving. Is traveling with Silmanos is almost as if it's a Frostfell season every day of the cycle. Jolly and festive. You? No. I am going back to the witch that you're so terrified of, and I'm going to apologize. You take your company and follow this finger that you've decided to sacrifice from a hand of an ally.
That was not something I asked. It was something I was gifted, but
Gentlemen, was it not Ukion, your
I
valiant
suggested
captain?
we find a goblin and take its finger. It was Silmanos who gave us his finger, this gift.
A goblin?
Anything. She asked for a
Truly?
finger.
Oh,
Anything. Any finger would have done.
perhaps it should have been your finger. Perhaps.
Halther
Perhaps
shakes
then-
his head. And he said, why would you choose a goblin's finger then? They're great craftsmen.
See, your heart is too cold for the business that we're about. That's the lesson I'm trying to teach you.
So what would you have me do?
I would have you pay attention to the resources at your hand, the troops beneath you. You just took a finger from a friend, as if it was a candle in your pack. Think
see.
upon this, meditate upon this, and be off on the road with you. And with that, we will have closing soliloquies of the evening. Halther, take it away, please, brother.
So Halther is standing there watching this whole exchange, and he's thinking back upon times when he'd done things on the farm. The one time when he was trying to play with Mother's loom and got the skein twisted, and Mother dressed him down for meddling with things that he didn't understand. He was terrified of this, and of course he cried because he disappointed his mother. But the next day she actually set him on her lap and showed him how it actually worked. And the times that his father had as his rages that were very well known around the area, they didn't happen very often, but when they did, everyone knew father was mad. And he saw this same kind of fire between these two fair folk, that the one who claims to be a legend, Halther is still on the fence about that, if that's actually the case or not. Just because someone walks up to you and says they're a legend does not necessarily mean that you accept they're a legend. Just as he's hearing these tales of people coming back from the dead all around, he's actually, the more and more he keeps thinking about it, the more and more he keeps almost subconsciously gripping that pouch at his hip, knowing what's in there and thinking, would that be possibly something could be done with that? But that's neither here nor there at the moment. So he he takes the advice of this saint and goes and gets the horses ready and waits for the other three to mount their beasts before wandering off into the evening, getting away from this area. He's hopeful that they'll be able to find out more about this Indukaga person, if he's truly a ancient sorcerer that has come back from the dead, or is just some person who has discovered a grimoire of spells somewhere and decided to take on an imposing name. But either way, this person, according to Ukian, is the reason his uncle's dead. So whoever it is will be paying at some point in the future.
So, Manas, would you continue for us as we are preparing for the road and on this forest highway?
Simonos is just feeling all sorts of insulted right now. Ukian saying that someone who has shadow sickness and void sickness is basically less of a person, at least is the way he heard it. Freaking the saint calling out the winter sect people. Yes, he gave him a compliment afterwards, but to him it felt like a backhanded compliment. And just like, what the hell? I gave up a goddamn finger for this shit. And this is how I get treated. This is what happens. Someone else is going to go pack his stuff. She's going to make sure all the food's packed, make sure all the provisioning's done. He's going to center himself, and he's just going to get ready for the road. And yes, anyone who actually looks at him is going to see him be like infuriated, but at the same time, you're going to see like that slightest of that silent smirk that he sometimes used to have. Like, all right, yeah, everyone's busting my ass, but I know it's not really, being malicious about it. Except maybe Ukian, because Ukian doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Let's be honest here. But he knows at least with the saint wasn't trying to be malicious, but just like, ow, that still hurt a little. That aside, he will occasionally look down at his bandaged stub and hand there, and just he's look at that and look back at the jar, look at his hand, look back at the jar. I really hope this was worth it, because that's not coming back. I hope it was worth it. And with that, his brain kind of zeroes back into the Zen mode, and he gets ready to leave on the road.
Captain Ukian of Tunelith, please give us your soliloquy.
Looking down at this cup in my hand and this finger, we delve into his thoughts. I'm sorry, Silmanas. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want you to give your finger. I wanted to find another way, find someone else, find something else, someone perhaps deserving of death. There's plenty of those on the road, plenty of those that are predators and vagabonds and bandits and goblins that seek to defile sacred places. Any of these would have been far finer sacrifices to give than your own finger, and yet you have given it, and I couldn't stop you, and I was afraid. I was afraid to give anything of myself. I'm afraid of that witch. I'm afraid of that curse that she bears, that shadow sickness. I've seen what it did to Shihan. I saw what it did to Salmanak before he became Salmanas. I saw that, and I never want anything like that. And I didn't want to go back to see her, to feel that corruption seep into me. I need to keep myself clean from this, because we are on a path to hunt something which is the most uncleanest, foulest thing in the entire world. And I cannot fail. I cannot give my finger something I need to wield my weapon. I will not give any fingers for this. I need this. I'm useless without my hands, without my blade. No, this Solmonas, I know. I can't say this to you in person. I can't. I don't know. This uncle, fell song, a great grand uncle of mine now. What is happening? My past is coming to claim me, it seems. My mistakes. The responsibility I feel for leading this company. I am failing. I need to get my thinking straight. I need to succeed. It doesn't matter. Everything matters as we find this, and everything will be for nothing if we don't find this Endukagar and slay him, skin him for Shihan, for the Autumn Crown, for Solmana, for Silmanas's his sacrifice, for the justice for Harthir. We need to find him. We will. I feel a burning deep inside. This wrath, this pain. And you will feel it into Kaga. You will know it. And you will die slowly. I promise you this.
As our view pulls back from our companions on this forest road, it passes beyond the canopy of this woodland, passes over the plains of the outer world, and we see a grouping of campfires, enough campfires for a standing army. Our view sinks down into this encampment where the coalition forces are preparing for yet another skirmish into the Atlantean-controlled lands, and just beyond that is the Suncrest Valley. The quarry now from the Dread Compass now actually waits there, deep down into the gold and copper mines, toiled over by the Trow and the Troll and the Goblin hordes, now under the lash of the primordial menace. They're still operating in secret. Now, at this time, in the timeline of Crown of Autumn, less than 20 people know of the primordial menace, and even still, the natives of the mainland, the continent of Aurum, are being sandwiched between these tribal conflicts as well as the Atlanteans. At this time, we find the young priest Corwin, now made a Stormlord in the faith of Lekra's religion. He begins a secret love affair with the Princess Fetef of the Umbriads. The Umbriads now taking up a stronghold near to the mountains, which used to be a rather prominent bearded folk stronghold. They've recaptured it from the goblin and troll hordes they're in. One evening, we see Corwin at meditation, and Fetef comes to him, and she possibly means to seduce him We hear him utter the words, "Would you attempt to lead me astray from my faith," being the dutiful priest of storms that he is. But her reply is no. No, my love. I would augment your faith. I would see you through this battle. She gives him a kiss that lingers long, but then she bids him good evening. As we see her leave his tent, there's a flicker of sorcery in her eye. She has an Erdiad handmaiden standing next to her, and she says, "We have work to do. If this Prince of Storms is to survive, I would see many works done in her name as well as Corwin's." And with that, we will end the scene, chapter 5. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We will be back next week for a game run by our illustrious narrator Battles. Good night, all. We shall be back shortly.